Welcome once again, all you Warhammers and Warhammies, to the best episode of Big M's Power Hour to date. I'm your host, Big M, along with a new face, Iron Mike.
Hey, Big M.
How's it going, Mike?
Pretty good.
Uh,
I want to say I've always considered myself one of the Warhammies of the introduction.
that's after our local GT, I feel like a Warhammy as well. It's
Yeah, that's good.
so
Those are my people.
Cole is away on assignment this month, so I had to get a replacement, and there's only one person I know that could fit those shoes.
I got the beard for it. Got to keep that quotient up.
So we got a decent amount to go over this month. Thankfully, there's almost no news. It was kind of all covered in Warhammer Fest. If you want to hear about how Warpstone GT at Fabricator Forge, the local Pittsburgh shop, went, I do recommend you check out Chuck's channel. I've said all about I need to say there. I guess I will say, since we're allowed to be a little more negative on this channel, I was definitely not in a good place after the GT. I was kind of hoping for some better games, and I'm not even saying that my opponents did anything wrong, so much as I don't know if KO is my army. This all or nothing shoot-tacular is
Hit or miss.
yeah.
Mostly miss.
Well, I mean, it was, I had one match against Seth, who, I love dearly, and we laughed our way through the entire game, but it really just lasted until round 2, whenever he set up his entire army outside of 7, charged in, destroyed everything, and that was game.
Yeah.
Only to go into my next match where I fought an OBR player which we'll get into here, is a hard counter. KO is a hard counter to OBR, and I blew him off the table. He didn't have a chance from turn 1. I mean, that was every single match was either I completely dominated or I got completely dominated. There was no middle ground.
One extreme or the other.
Yeah. So, like I said, considering, like, in my idea of a perfect game is you don't know who's going to win or lose, and it comes down to that final dice roll, and that's going to determine the game.
Yeah, everyone likes that back and forth, right? Like, That's what makes the game engaging.
Right. Because, like, I have no problem losing. It's losing to the extent where all of my expertise, all of my experience, all of the time and effort putting into the list, all the research, all the studying, like all that other stuff, it was just a wash,
Yeah,
that's kind of
makes
where
it tough.
And now at the same time, I will also admit that there's a certain extent where I just need to learn how to lose. That's not freely admit that one.
You just need practice. That's all.
Yeah.
Like, once it happens enough, you just pick it up. It comes naturally.
Plenty of practice losing.
Yeah.
But like I said, with that being said, I don't want to dwell on it too much. The last week's Strength Hammer, we go into a little bit more depth with everything. So we'll leave that to that, and we'll get along to the news here today. You are recording on a phone, so I'm sure that thing's going to die real soon.
Oh, it's plugged in.
Better be.
It is. You told me. You said, remember the charger.
I absolutely did. So we'll start off here with our April 1st. Build steely muscle and develop an iron will with the latest Warhammer fitness innovation. They typically do come out with some pretty good ones for April 1st. I don't know if this one tops Wartar.
That was probably the best one.
But this was a very close second. especially with you know, us being the child. I don't know what you want to call it. Whatever relationship to the Strength Hammer network. I was a little disappointed they didn't get Chuck on there. You know, that's
I was kind of expecting it, to be honest.
you know, whenever I first saw it, I was like, if Chuck shows up here, man, I'm gonna be. um, so moving along here on to April 4th, Curse City scenario take on all of Ulfenkarn with one of immeasurably mighty hero. With one immeasurably mighty hero. I feel like we covered this last month, but I didn't see an article from last month, so we'll just go into it fresh. I apologize for the regular listeners, but essentially what they did, they came up with a scenario where you can play one of these three characters um, by yourself. Which I don't know. Did you get Curse City?
Oh yeah, I have Curse City.
Have you played
I
Curse City?
No, still painting
Don't worry about painting.
Curse City.
Don't worry about painting it.
I tried that with Silver Tower. It's not as much fun. I don't know that I would play Curse City by myself, however.
I mean, now you can. Like I said, I think the joke last month, if I remember properly, was like because I was saying that like instead of the Stormcast hero they chose, I can never remember his damn name. Whatever. They should have put Bastion instead.
Yeah.
But what I was thinking is like maybe what they actually did was they went from easy to medium to hard mode. Because I imagine playing with Gotrek's going to be pretty easy on that one.
Oh yeah, the Gardas Steel Soul and the
Gardas.
Yeah.
That's his name. So, like I said, as soured as I have become on Curse City with the way they've decided to release things, this is a good thing. Download it before they just change their mind.
Well, for a guy who still hasn't played, I'm happy with how they've released things. It's been going fine.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, we've kind of beat that drum to death, but just not having a model plus rules bundle, and then expecting you to buy $200 worth of models per expansion, with actually each expansion getting more expensive, to the point where if you have none of the models, it's more expensive to buy the expansions than it was to buy the original game. There's no excuse for it.
Yeah, no, shouldn't be.
Moving along, though. So we had April 6th, Warhammer Age of Sigmar Meta Watch. What's in the new battle scroll? So we got our newest meta list here. I'll tell you, they must use some real fun trickery to come up with these numbers.
Yeah, you wonder what goes into the reporting of them. How are they collecting all this data?
Right, because like, if you look at, I don't know if you've ever went over to like Honest Wargamer and looked at their stats.
Oh yeah,
they look completely different. I mean, not completely different, but they look pretty different.
I would say probably more refined.
Right, but like Cities of Sigmar at 53%.
Who's playing that?
Right, you're high as a kite. I mean, again, like, so today they just announced, or the world's the world tournament just released their lists.
I haven't seen it yet. I'm interested.
Do you know how many Cities of Sigmar players there are?
None.
Close. 1.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, the general breakdown is to no surprise, Gloomspite gets Disciples of Tzeentch, KO, Lumineth, and what's the last real big one? Beasts of Chaos. You know, those are kind of the big contenders now. I was kind of hoping that Seraphon, they would kind of do something with Slide with Seraphon, but no, it's still the second edition book, so there's only one Seraphon player. So yeah, I said again. I still think Sons of, and again this. So one thing that's consistent on both is the Sons of Behemoth is higher on Honest Wargamers list, and I just don't know how. Like that has to be agony to play that at this point. Whenever you, um, I don't know. It's playing it in the last couple GHBs has been so much not fun.
Why do you say that though?
Well,
The
so
focus on champions and
right.
veterans and
So there's two issues. One, the last GH or the last or the newest battle tome was a hard, not hard nerf, but it was a slow burn nerf.
yeah.
It's like so they like everyone got slower. They were like, oh well, we should probably instead of having their speeds be 12, 11, 10, we'll make it all the same, and they all get to move 10. And I'm like, that's kind of hard whenever you're only moving 4 models around the table. You need a little bit more than 10, and then no access. Oh, I think there's one way you can get run and charge, um, and then as much as I like they lowered the amount of attacks you get, but they didn't really make the attack profiles better, but they increased the damage. So you still have the same amount of chance to miss as you did whenever you were taking 5 to 10 shots. So it's like,
Right.
so your damage has gone down, your survivability's gone down. This battle scroll takes away your ability to really be wizards, so that's gone down. And then on top of that, all the GHBs are focusing so heavy on things that you can't play in the same space that everyone else is.
Yeah, that's never any fun when you can't compete on
Right.
all the different ways they're giving you to compete.
And then on top of that, so like let's say that you were all set to go 5-0 and potentially win the tournament. If you come across me and I'm playing Suns, all of a sudden there's I think four um, 4 battle tactics that you can't get because I don't have any Gleason champions. So
Right.
essentially, depending on your army, there goes your chance of coming in first. And
Yeah, that's not good.
right, it's like if you're going to do this stuff, you're going to have to figure out a way to remember these guys exist. So even if it's here's the rules and here's the Suns exception, whether it's your general counts as a Gleason champion or something like that,
Yeah, they're probably not taking that into account that they have
No.
an army of 4 or 5
Right.
models stomping around the
Right.
board.
And they just don't care. Like the and I said this like whenever Sons of Bahamut was announced. I always said that this is going to be a problem army because whenever you're dealing with such small numbers, balance is going to be near impossible, and that seems to be the case. But so right now, where they're saying they are, Zinch has a 60% win rate. Gloomspike gets at 57, Flesh Eater Court's at 57, Caradron Overlord's at 57, and Lumineth at 56. So I don't know how Flesh Eater's Courts is up there.
Yeah, right.
uh,
They're due for a new book, so about time to start competing at almost 60%, right?
right? Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's I don't know. We'll see. The numbers are very telling. I think whenever it comes to the GHB, and I think it's only going to get worse here. I think the next GHP is really going to be an issue as well, but we will see.
You think?
Oh yeah, yeah. I think we had a terrible GHB, a passable GHB, and I think we're going to get. I think the next one's going to be rough because if you think about it, we had monsters, which was fine because it took a unit that most people weren't taking and it encouraged you to take them, and then it gave you some counter for people that brought them. Um,
I think most everybody has monsters too, right? Outside of maybe what Night Haunt.
I mean, there's who is it? There's Night Haunt doesn't really have monsters. I mean, like we'll get into, Soul Blight has very limited access to monsters. I don't know. I don't think OBR has a lot of monsters if they have any.
Guess we'll find out.
Yeah, I don't think so. So, like I said, I mean, it was one of those things where it was like, it wasn't that big of a deal, though. Like, the buffs to the monsters was fine. Honestly, it was almost what they should have been in the first place. Um, and so then we had the Galician champion, or what was it, bounty hunters and everything, which
Yeah,
basically said,
the veteran units.
yeah. So then we had veteran units, which was an odd choice, but I would have liked to have seen that go a different way, but it is what it is.
Yeah, that really shook some stuff up too with the bounty hunters battalion and everything. Like, I think it opened up some avenues anyway for maybe stuff that you didn't see a lot of. All of a sudden, looked a little bit better in that battalion.
I mean, honestly, whenever we had bounty hunters, all we saw was deviation from get as far away from Galician veterans as possible. You know, like
Right.
all of a sudden, well, we both play Stormcast. That became fun.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden having to do half the number of wounds to a zombie horde. That it was just you just
Yeah.
couldn't keep shit on the table, which is already a problem in the game without doing double damage.
Yeah, I think that was rougher for dire wolves too because they were 2 wounds, so all of a sudden every wound's taking one out.
Right, and that's what I ran across with bringing the vigilers. It's I rolled 2. Okay, there's one dude dead, so now I'm
Yeah. See, that wasn't a problem. I only played Dracoths with Stormcast, so
okay, yeah,
minimal problems there.
but yeah, so we basically went monsters, units. Now we're on
Heroes.
utility heroes, essentially.
Yep.
So really, the only places we have left are cavalry, wizards, priests. So
I think there's definitely a lot of armies with no priests.
right. So that's one thing I think. Like, I lean towards wizards being the next one. I don't know if priests will get wrapped into it or not, but that's what my bet is. And the game's magic game is already pretty iffy. Like, it's definitely a feast or famine meta right now, where it's you don't have +2 and you're not casting 4 spells. Sorry.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, that should get better with croaks on the table and everything else,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, there'd be no problem with Croak and a
Yeah.
couple Slan and a couple Skink Priests and
Star Masters, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Which, by the way, if you want to see how that book plays out, Seasons of War recently did Seraphon versus Caster Chaos guy. Tzeentch. There we go. That's the
Yeah.
one.
Hey.
That was a mess of a game.
Really?
Yeah.
What happened? Fill me in.
Well, so I mean, it was just like, so have you read the Seraphon spoilers at all?
I've read the spoilers, yeah.
Yeah, so you know that they get points whenever they cast and when they dispel.
Yep.
And so the Tzeentch player brought a Tzeentch list that was casting
He's casting spells, yeah.
right. And so then you have the Slans that have a bonus to dispel, and they can just dispel anywhere from the board. I mean, he had so many summoning points, it was nuts.
What does the summoning table look like? Easy access to a lot of good stuff, or
it's like second edition, first book, second edition Slanesh. The units themselves are a little disappointing. I was kind of hoping for a little little more panache, a little more punch.
Yeah, they
Um,
look great.
yeah, they look amazing. But the all the war scrolls to me are like a little disappointing, but there's a lot of synergies. And then on top of that, it's right now looking like you can summon between 15 and 1800 extra points. So yeah.
That can't be a problem, right?
No, 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 no. I mean
There
it's
won't be any issues there.
oh yeah, I'm just gonna summon a hundred Saurus warriors throughout the course of my game. There's no issues there.
I'll just plan them on objectives. It'll be fine.
Because one thing Saurus Guard you can't take away from them is their defensive powers. They are really defensive. Um, one thing I was kind of hoping for was to see a little bit more of a for the Thunder Lizard build. I was kind of hoping for a little bit more of a um, ogre, like a ogre techie list. You know, where you have like almost power, but you need some synergies and some buffs to like get you up to where somewhere close to where Beast Claw are, and
Yeah,
nah, it's just
not there.
not there. It's
Yeah,
it
you're
falls
gonna
flat.
you're gonna want the Croak and
Yeah,
the Slan, the Star Priest.
yeah.
Yeah,
We'll
that's
get
gonna be your angle.
yeah, we'll get into more depth next month, but it looks like an interesting book. I don't think it's an auto win, but I think it's a very strong book, and it's probably going to get nerfed real hard. So if you really like Seraphon, play him quick. Start painting
Who
now.
knows? They may be one of those books they just let go, just let run
It's true.
wild for who knows how long.
That's true. Like I said, I mean, I think it's the same thing like with Daughters of Cain. Like I don't think you don't see a lot of them anymore. But I think it's just because people are just tired of just destroying people with a list, you know.
Yeah, they
um,
were up there for a long time.
yeah, and also I think the slight bump in Marathi's points, while not undeserved, messes with the math of the whole list, and I think that causes some issues as well.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah, but so let's move on here to the battle scroll here. So we got a couple things. So first and foremost, with the rally, you can now only rally um, up to 5 models. Or I'm sorry, combined characteristic of 10 or less. So if you're doing a bunch of Arcanauts, you can bring 10 Arcanauts back. If you're bringing a bunch of Stormcast, five Stormcast. You know that's
Seems reasonable.
it's fine.
Yeah,
I would rather have seen this say you can never rally on anything better than a 5 up.
that would have probably been a little bit more elegant. Yeah,
I mean, like it's just silly. Like even KO have a 4 up rally. Like it doesn't even make sense.
right.
Why are you doing all of this? Like you got to pick a side of the field, man. You can't like, hey, rally's only on a 6 up, and then all of a sudden someone comes with the idea of like, but what if they rallied on a 5 up? And then the other guy in the cross table goes, what if they rallied on a 4 up? And they go, I like the way you think.
Yeah. Well, that's one of those design paradigms they just get hooked on, right? Like
Right.
somebody, thought it'd be a good idea, just like you said. If 5 up's good, what 4 up's even better.
Right.
So,
And then of course you have the other. What about a 3 up? And they're like, nah, you just
yeah,
ruined it. Get out of here.
yeah. We got to nerf it now. You can only retire up to 10 wounds.
Yeah. Now here's the one that does not upset me, but I don't like it. The changes to the Arcane Tome. Hero that does not have the Wizard, Priest, or Corn keyword, the bearer becomes a wizard that only knows the Arcane Bolt Mystic Shield spell. If you take a spell lore enhancement, you cannot pick any spells from that spell lore for the bearer to know, but the bearer can attempt to summon any endless spell, included on your roster if otherwise eligible. They can attempt to cast one spell in your hero phase and attempt to unbind one spell in your enemy hero phase. Um, So,
Was that a problem
right.
that they
Here's the
could
thing:
be?
is like, I
What are they
know
solving?
I saw a lot of arcane tomes, but I never saw an arcane tome where it was like so broken that I was like, "Fuck, why is he taking that?" You know.
Yeah,
But do you watch any of those meta videos with Matt Rose?
no.
They're actually pretty good. He actually knows his stuff pretty well. The problem is he's been talking about Arcane Tome being taken at too high of a level for a couple videos now, and so like he doesn't understand. I don't know if he doesn't understand, but it seems to me that he doesn't understand that Arcane Tome wasn't taken so much because it was so good, but because most artifacts in the battle tomes are pretty bad.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, was it just a case of it's always being taken, so must get nerfed?
Exactly. Exactly. So it's like, okay, well, I guess we'll just wallow then because no one has something like there's like four books that have good or about good artifacts. Like,
Right.
um, I don't think we got any other changes. We got some Auric War Clans, Cruel Boys. After the players have received their starting command points, but before the start of the first turn, you can pick two different dirty tricks to employ during the battle instead of just one. Um, sure, it's fine. I
Why
don't
not?
think that's going to fix the book.
No.
And then another one for Cruel Boys, the Gut Rippers. Or no, Gut Rippers is yeah, that's them. It doesn't matter. Change the scare tactics ability to subtract one from hit rolls for attacks made with melee weapons by the enemy unit that are not hero or monster target this unit. Again, I don't care. It's fine. Then we got a bunch of point changes. Nothing huge. I was shocked to see Severith get a 20-point deduction.
Probably just because he's not being taken as much these
I
days.
guess. I mean, yeah, I guess. I don't know. And then whatever insanity, there has to be somebody who works for GW that had a Slaves of Darkness GT coming up, because there is no reason that these points should have been changed at all. And they get like all their best shit got like point deductions, and it's like, how is that even possible? Not their best shit. Like Varangar didn't go, but like Chaos Knights and Chaos Warriors, Demon Prince that isn't really being taken, but boy, now we're back to Demon Princes with the corn marking. Um,
The Chaos Knights are taken for sure.
right,
I don't think
right,
I've played a Slaves Army without them.
right. So I'm just shocked to see that. Again, there's nothing. I thought for Gloomspites, I thought Scragrot should not be plus 50 points just because a lot of people are taking him. Um, I think whenever you are taking things that have the title Loon King or some other sort of centralized figure in the army lore, expect people to take it. Like that means you wrote the rules right. As long as
Yeah, right.
people aren't walking away from the battle going, ugh, not another fucking Gloomspite list.
Yeah.
Then it's fine. You're allowed
Yeah,
to take.
it's just too it's too superficial a reason on its own.
Right.
Just because they're being taken.
Right.
You got to have a deeper reason than that.
All right. Because again, like, let's say he had a pivotal role that makes the army work, and now you just made it so he's too expensive. Like, you could have broke the army. Thankfully, it doesn't seem to be that way, but
Well, they
is what
still
it
got
is.
squigs.
Yeah. All right. So we got that all taken care of. Overall, I'd say the War Scroll is, I don't know. I think I'm going to give it a C minus. I think it's well intended, but it misses the mark.
I'll agree.
Yeah. So moving over, April 14th, Old World Development Diary.
Oh no.
So they quit blue balling us and started actually giving us some real information here. I was shocked when this article came out because it was like the first thing that really told us stuff. Um, Again, I know you are still not on Old World board. Um,
Nope.
it looks like most of the Strength Hammer guys are, so we'll probably get a decent amount of that in. Like I said, I'm excited to see where it goes. I really don't. What I'm hoping is they look at the rules, implement what worked, and then update that shit for the 21st millennium. It's the last thing I want to be doing is with my dwarves trying to figure out a 3-inch pivot.
Yeah. You and I have talked about this, and
Right.
it's one of the things that keeps me from it is that my nostalgia for that game is due to the age I was when I was playing it. Having played a lot of Sigmar in the years since, I don't want to go backwards, and that
Yeah.
feels like backwards to me. Just me, though.
Well, I'll tell you, like Neil was talking a lot the same way that you were until Chuck actually convinced him to play it, and he realized like it still has merit. It's still a fun game. Um, and I also think you were playing not people of cut from the same cloth as you are. So
Well, they were definitely playing the hardest edge tournament lists, where I was just kind of same as I do in Sigmar, putting the models I like on the table, and
yeah,
that was a bad way of playing it.
yeah. Well, like I said, we need to get you down to the barn one time here so you can get a fantasy game in. See if it changes your mind any.
At the GT, Chuck did soften me a little bit to it, claiming that, look, if you just play casual
Yeah,
games of 8th edition or something, where no one's taking that, Razor's Edge list that people were back then, it can be a lot of fun. And I could see that.
yeah, yeah. Definitely. I mean, honestly, I forget who I was talking to, but we were talking about the decline of fantasy, where the release. I definitely think the release schedule and the frequency that they saw new sculpts really helped the decline of the game because I mean you're talking about Bretonian models that to this day are almost 30 years old.
Oh,
Um,
yeah. I mean, the day 8th edition died, I still had armies that were mostly metal,
right.
you
Uh,
know.
and like and then on top of that, I think the other side of the other side of the blade, as it were, is the competitive community. I remember going to legions during a tournament and literally hearing people like bitch and moan about millimeters.
uh,
Like you cannot
yeah.
survive when
Not in
you're
that game, yeah.
yeah you can't survive when everything's that toxic. So, like I said, I know that they said that they're trying to take rules from all the different editions, and combining them into something that's the most fun. But like I said, I hope they do that, and then also take a book or take a page out of the conquest rules where they've resolved a lot of the issues, like with movement and deployment, um, and let you have a little bit more of a free experience when playing, as opposed to just such hard, stringent railroads tracks. I mean,
Yeah, that was always my gripe was that your movement was very everything was restrictive, right? It was all
right,
about what you couldn't do with
right,
your unit on the table. So it never struck me at the time. It was fine. I didn't know any different, but
exactly,
afterwards, like you start playing other more free flowing games, you think, oh, okay, like I can move around this board, not just march pivot.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
Um, but so with this, we did they did go over a lot. They did state that base sizes are going up, which I know a lot of people initially were upset about, and I was pretty happy to hear about it because I got since Dwarf Warriors are not available, I got STLs online and had third party models printed, and my friend that printed them for me, who I'm eternally grateful for printing them for me, printed them just a little too big, so they don't
No,
rank and file on 20 millimeter bases. However, they will rank and file on 25 millimeter bases.
I think it
um,
makes sense, right, for the development of the game. Like
yeah,
that was one of the issues too, was the static poses of those models. a little hard to fit on the smaller bases. So if it opens up new design space for them to do cool dynamic things with some old concepts, I think
Yeah,
that'd be fine.
yeah. So, like I said, I think that's going to be, and on top of that, there's already like before people could finish complaining, other people already had STLs for bases that have spacers, so you don't even have to rebase your army if you don't want to. I'm like genius. These
God,
people are
yeah,
geniuses.
God bless the internet.
Right. So let's see here. What else did they tell us about? Really, just kind of their base sizes were all the big things. They're saying, "Can I take my old armies to organized play events?" And they stated, "Look, if you're coming to a GW event, you are going to need the proper base sizes." But it does say or an appropriate movement tray, so they've already figured out people are going to do that. Well, good on them.
Yeah,
Good on them. All right. So, last news article here. So, we got the Warhammer Fest reveals. Um, I'm not going to go
these I
in.
like.
I'm not going to go too in depth with the 40k stuff, but I will touch on it here. So, they revealed the 10th edition box for 40k. Speaking of, are you how are you feeling about 40k with 10th edition? Anything?
Same as I've ever felt. No interest in 40k. I'm one of those rare guys. Doesn't doesn't interest me in the least. So it all just goes right over me. That's fine.
Like I said, for me, it puts me in kind of an interesting spot because 40k is kind of where I started. I started right where everyone else started, making an Ultramarines army. Um, for me, it was back in 5th edition, and the game slowly changed to the point where it was unrecognizable to what I was used to playing. You know, Fifth was fun but confusing. Six kind of streamlined it. Seven kind of streamlined it a little more, but got a little more confusing. Eighth edition got a little more. I think eighth edition tried to streamline everything. That's where the indexes, which I think I still have, where the indexes
People
came
like
out.
they
Yeah,
like the indexes, right?
yeah. And again, the indexes were really fun because it put everyone on equal footing because GW put all the rules out at once so they all balanced them out to a certain degree. Now, again, you could do Imperial Soup where you basically just take a little bit of this, a little bit of that, everything from the Imperium, and you could create something too powerful, which now I think the game is still suffering from um, some ally shyness because you really get hard for taking allies now. Like you basically just lose um, your army rules almost. It's rough.
Yeah.
Um, so, and then I think by the time ninth edition came around, I think the game is. I know plenty of people enjoy it. I just don't know how. To me, it comes off as unplayable.
Yeah. I've never seen a lot of people enjoying playing 40K. Maybe that's just me.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people playing
But it's been
40k.
rare
I
that
just
I've
haven't
seen
seen a lot
guys.
of people enjoying it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've been around hobby stores, in different places, and they just never seem to be enjoying it quite as much as I'm enjoying Sigmar.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's fine.
So, like I said, I've been following the changes, like what they've been talking about, um, and everything sounds pretty good. Again, we'll see what happens when everything comes together. Uh, I put out all my feelers to try and get as much information as I could because they actually had it playable at Warhammer Fest, but nobody's saying anything about it. I guess there must have been an NDA or something.
Yeah. Right. How do you have it play? Like you walk in and they hand you the rules? How does
Right,
that work? Or they were demonstrating the game?
right. Well, it sounds like the game has been very much AOSified,
It's
and
more fun.
yeah. Well, so that's one of the things. Like, so I was talking to one of the people that were there, and I was trying to get out of them, trying to confirm the rumor that 40k is going to have the double turn. and they
Trying to
they
explode heads in there.
they just smiled and said, "I'm not allowed to say." So I don't know, man. Double turn. I hope you hear it.
Oh, there'll be a lot of tears over that one.
I if my cup will runneth over with tears of joy. That's
Right? Those tears will sustain me.
yeah.
That's what'll happen.
I I will suddenly become 20 again.
Yeah, I need no other sustenance but that. Just let me drink it
Now,
in.
with that being said, did you even look at the box set at all?
I did. Yeah, tons of models look
I
great.
can't believe how many friggin' models they're putting in that thing. Holy
How much do
cow!
you think it's going to be?
It has to be 280, $300.
What was the last box?
230?
Uh, Prices have gone up.
Yeah. Yeah, since our 150 first edition starter set for AOS, huh?
Right? Oh, I remember
um,
buying the AOS one starter set for $100 on like
yeah,
Amazon and places. Yeah,
yeah. But I think all the Space Marines look fine. The Terminator armor I think looks fine. The Captain in Terminator armor looks awesome.
sure. He doesn't look like every other captain in armor.
He looks awesome. um, Now I will say one thing about the Tyranids. They have such an old line that needs refreshing so badly, and they were like, you know what? Let's just introduce new stuff. And I'm like, or just update your old shit. There you go.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean that's always a problem, right? Like for GW, I guess updating your standard grunt, small troop. I don't know. I can kind of understand wanting to go in other directions, do cool new things, but
I mean, here's the thing: is like, unless you have someone that you play regularly, or you yourself play Tyranids regularly, there's so many gaunts and nids of this and that that you can't even keep track of what's what. So it's like,
right.
okay, here's a bunch of sloppy bug monsters. Let's add more sloppy bug monsters with just new, different sloppy bug monster weapons. And it's like,
Yeah.
I don't even know what I was fighting before.
The other
Uh,
guy's got to tell you, yeah.
okay, so let's see. So here we got our first. Um, is this just the one war band? Wow, they're really killing us for choice here on the Warhammer Fest here with the Night Haunt Underworld's war band. Um, yep, looks like four more Night Haunt models.
Yeah, I like them.
Yep.
I always like the Night Haunt aesthetic is good, but it is, pretty samey.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they kind of painted themselves into a corner with Night Haunt overall. Like you came
They
up
did.
with you
Yeah,
came up with
definitely did.
ghosts in a sheet. Like that's not. It's fine. I don't play Underworlds anymore anyway, so whatever. It's fine. I don't care. Um,
Yep.
all right. Now here's the one you were talking about. Get off the
Oh
road.
yeah. I love everything about this, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think and I might be a little. You can freely call me cynical on this one, um, but I was a little worried about what they were going to announce whenever I saw Middle Earth on the roster of things to announce.
Why is that?
Well, so I have a long-standing um, belief that's holding up that basically states that Middle Earth is as good as it is solely because GW doesn't touch it.
Probably merit to that argument.
I mean, because they can never just produce more. They have to change, and it's not like it always improves. It's not like it always makes it work, but like it just they forget how to streamline, and they keep building extensions, and it's like no.
Right. They
Sometimes
keep.
you right. Sometimes you have to remodel the house. You can't just add an extension onto the extension from the bathroom. Like
Yeah, they just build out. Like AOS has that. I'm sure 40K has that,
right,
where they just keep adding different concepts to the core game, and before long, it's can be a mess.
right. So I was glad to see this. This is an awesome, iconic scene where all the sculpts are awesome. I also love that this is also back to the Lord of the Rings methodology where the sculpts don't look like the actors from the movies. The sculpts look like what the sculptor felt they looked like.
Yeah. How cool is that Black Rider, though?
Yeah, tell me about
That is cool.
it. And so yeah, so you have everything here. So you'll be able to take the Black Rider out. So he'll be able to be a used miniature. Um, Now it's probably going to be $200 on Forge World.
Ooh. Ooh.
I mean, the let's take a look. While we're here, we have the internet at our fingers.
Yeah, I'm looking at
So
it now.
for Forge World, we will reject your cookies.
Yeah.
So here we go. So we have a Hobbit Hole upgrade set, which is literally a piece of resin that is about this big, a chimney, and 2 stacks for $43. Are you kidding me? So then we have
Yeah.
Amon Hen, which is about that big probably. It's about a little shy of a foot by like a foot and a half. $255.
That I can't justify. Yeah, I hope it's
Insanity.
not that much.
So, like I said,
Are all the Middle Earth minis resin?
they're not all resin, but most of them are, and most of them are quite expensive. They they love to price themselves out, and they really like to give that money straight to Chinese recasters.
That's a shame. But I hate resin, but provided this isn't $250, I'm in. I want to paint that.
What's your price limit?
I mean, I guess I don't get a good idea of the size of it from this picture, so I
I
think
mean,
a lot would
it's
depend on that. But I mean, if you can play
knowing.
if the Black Rider comes off to be played in a game, right?
Yeah.
It's not huge.
No, I would
Uh,
assume it's probably about like 50% size bigger than like a hockey puck, like for the footprint.
I mean, there's what I'd like to pay for it, and then there's what I might
Can I
be
get
willing to
you?
pay for it.
Can I
So
get you into this diorama at 175?
yeah,
Okay.
wouldn't be it wouldn't be my preference. Yeah, I'd prefer less than that, but
All right.
like just seeing it in my mind, like $80. That's seems like a reasonable price to me. But it is
Yes,
Forge
that
World resin, so
in the world of reason, rationale, and logic, yes, that is $80. But in the GW world,
yeah,
all right. So then we got our Warcry announcement where we got Stormcast and Flesh Eaters. Um, I I feel like these are some of the most boring Stormcast models.
I thought they were okay, but yeah, all Stormcast models are kind of at this point.
No, like I mean, again,
What are you gonna do?
like the Vigilors. I think the Vigilors, just the standard box, looks cooler than these guys.
What about the Vigilors?
Just
What looks cooler?
I don't know, just everything.
Yeah,
Like I feel like even their poses are more dynamic.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could see that in a standalone box, unit box versus
I mean,
a
compare these to the
versus a box like this.
yeah, compare these models to like the skinks, the chameleon skinks, the vampire samurai. Like there's a
Yeah,
lot more oomph put in them than it feels like with these.
yeah, not super imaginative.
Yeah,
I'll give you that. The Relictor guy with the skull head and the
yeah, that's
hammer up, he looks all right to me. He's fine.
uh, he looks a little too Skeletor for me. He's
Yeah,
definitely gonna give out a yeah.
yeah. Oh, he's borrowing that from OBR. That's the OBR
Yeah,
face,
yeah. That's he's trying to infiltrate.
right? I'm one of you.
um, but yeah, he's fine. Like I said, it's yeah. My thing is like I understand the rank and file of Stormcast being a little plainsy. Just so you have you got this like solid foundation, and then spring things go crazy from there. Um,
Yeah.
so whenever they do stuff like this, I kind of have a little bit of a higher expectation, like they did with the Warband, the Underworld's Warband.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, Now, also, I've been saying since day one for Warcry that what they need to do, because again, since the original idea of Warcry is the Chaos Gods putting their like dumb masses against each other, I've wanted a um, like a slave warband where it's essentially like a bunch of stormcasts that weren't killed, they were captivated and like had their armor ripped off, and now they have to like fight in like say like just the like their armored leggings and have like clubs and stuff, and they're like
I,
shackled.
yeah, I was gonna say that. Like, if there was some way they could get away from the fully armored aesthetic, even just for a unit or a box like this,
Right,
or something like that, just to break the mold that they have of,
right.
different, thicknesses of armor and different weapons. Like that's kind of the only design choices they're making here.
And then as far as the flesh eater courts, I think the flesh eater baboons are a little weird.
They're weird, but I like them.
Yeah, yeah, they're it's interesting, and again, like I don't know how much you can really do with ghouls, but okay.
I just wanted, like, who came up with those? Like, who's sculpting in GW headquarters somewhere and is like, he's making a baboon. Like, wow, I really need some more models for this flesh eater war band. And they got these baboons here. I think we could do something with that. Like, who came up with that?
I see like the supervisor. What are you working on there? Baboon ghouls. Baboon ghoul. Okay, sure. You know what? You finish that up, and then we'll have a talk with HR.
Here, we'll put them in the Warcry
Yeah, we'll put him in the
box.
Warcry
It's
thing.
fine.
No one will remember. Um,
Yeah.
I
Will the
think
new
it's.
flesh eater book though have a unit of baboons? That's what you got to wonder.
I
And what
think
do they think they are?
right.
Like, are those like noble hunting hounds? What?
Yeah, it's a little bit of a hard one to try and find. Like these are my fox hunters. That's.
Yeah. It's a shrieking baboon. Yeah.
I do think it's interesting that the main focal point of the terrain is a is the Seraphon thingy.
Oh yeah. Is it the actual Seraphon thingy just with some added stuff? It
I
isn't,
don't
is
know.
it?
I mean, we'll have to wait for it to come out to see what the footprint looks like. But I mean, the design is the same, and if my opponent put that down and said that's what it was, I wouldn't question him on
No, me either.
it. So here, but we also got a Warcry war map. So in the spring, which is now, we got Flesh Eater Courts versus Stormcast Eternals. And then in the summer, we have a new starter set for new players. So we're not allowed to get it because we're old players.
It's okay. I don't want it anyway.
Um, and then I don't understand quite. So they're saying 4 war bands, Order versus Destruction. So I assume it's 2 and 2.
So 2 boxes maybe.
I
Like
guess.
two of these type of versus boxes.
I don't know. I'm honestly like I'm getting a little tired of the versus boxes. I really want because like here's the thing is like have you played Warcry at all?
No.
So in order to really be able to actually like play it competently, you essentially need two boxes so you can pick and choose what you want to bring. So like all of like having every single warband released in a versus box is getting a little old.
Because you're going to want another warband, but they
Right.
don't have an
Can
individual
we
box. Like, yeah.
can we just put them in a damn box and put them on the shelves so I can go, ooh, here's the one set I want, as opposed to, I guess I'll buy this $200 box set that comes with a bunch of terrain that I don't want or need, on top of another warband I don't want or need. I guess I'll get a second one because I need 10 more of those guys. You know, like,
Well, I guess in their minds, you have to buy a box, and then your friend has to buy a box, and then he'll give you the models you want. You give him the other models. Now they've just sold two boxes, big boxes.
or I'll just get the damn the cards for the army that I play in regular AOS.
That's a much better plan.
So yeah, so we're getting 4 order and destruction. So that means 2 order, 2 destruction, and then in winter we're getting an order warband and a death warband, and then in spring, so next year we're getting 2 more warbands, but that's question marks. TBC. To be continued. To be concealed. I don't know why you would go TBC. That's you
Yeah.
can't go. I guess they can't go TBD because they don't want you to tell you that they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, I have no idea what the C stands for there, but
I don't know. Maybe it's a British thing.
yeah,
Okay, so here we go. Here's some gold. We got some talking points here.
let's do it.
Um, got more Sigmar stuff. What do you think of the horses?
The
Yeah,
Cavaliers. I like them. I really like them.
I think these are awesome. I
Yeah, I agree. I'm looking at them again now, and yeah, they're fantastic.
now the only thing I'm kind of like about is the on the second one, the person with the flail.
Yep.
I feel like that horse's legs are too long.
You're thinking too much.
Just wait, we'll see, we'll see. I told I told Chuck he has to ask Mark if those horse legs are too long or not. I gotta say, I'm loving this orange they're going with.
Yeah, I think it's a nice color on there.
Um, I'm interested to see where this is going. I'm very happily surprised that I'm liking the sculpts that we're seeing. Like I said, whenever there was just the renders, I was so worried they looked so hero forgy. But like here, you can see the one guy has the Warhammer that has the S engraved in there. It's just nice and subtle. It's just added in there. I have no problem with that. Hell, even on the next one, you have the tassels under the horse armor that I remember seeing specifically in the render. Going, ooh, I don't know about that, and it looks fine. It's just fine.
Yeah,
So we'll see. Like I
and
said, I'm
the little snail guy running.
I don't know what that is. I don't know if I want to know what that is.
I don't know either, but it's cool. I'm glad that it's there.
You know what's weird? There was something I don't have the time to look it up now. I'm not going to do research and edit out my research, but there is some correlation to this like old medieval like paintings that were done in medieval times about knights and stuff often had snails in them, but I forget what the symbolism was.
Yeah, I think I read that too. Um, But yeah, I like it, whatever it is. I think it's one of those cool little bits, that,
Yeah.
going back to like the old original plastic giant kit, it was just packed full of like weird little cool bits that you could have. So that's one of them for me.
Now, also, I would like to point out these are not black base frames.
Oh, so they're not, were they like a gray?
Yeah. So I love finding different colors for my base rims outside of black, and Chuck always gives me a hard time for it. He's just go black, just go black. GW always goes black. I'm like, oh, by that logic, then I should have went green, Goblin green 20 years ago. Like,
Oh, sure.
so like I said,
Yeah, I feel like black is good for display models. Like, if you're painting something for display, black is the go-to for that. But I feel like in army painting, go wild. It's
yeah.
fine.
Actually, let's see. It didn't work. It didn't work during Strength Hammer, but let me see if I can share my Doctor Midas here. There we go. See, look,
Oh yeah, I see them.
he went with I went with Lead Belcher for
Looks
whole army.
fine.
Looks awesome. Um,
Looks great.
but yeah, so like, I'm I'm hesitant at how much I like these models because I don't know why. I just have very little I have very little faith that they're going to make this like a competitive army. Um,
I think it'll be good. They'll make it good.
we'll see. We'll see. Anyways, top marks. All right, Dawnbringers. So the new narrative campaign that we're getting is called Dawnbringers. Um, the very first book is The Harbinger. Let's see what here. Faced in a primal whirlwind, the Dawnbringer Crusades sally out to reconquer lands lost to chaos and stake their claim in Sigmar's name. At Hammerhall, a Dawnbringer Crusade of staggering vision prepares to leave the two great gates of the twin-tailed city, kicking off a new campaign series for Warhammer Age of Sigmar Dawnbringers. Um, so obviously the cover is a new Harbinger of Decay. I think that's really cool. I think this is also a really interesting way to introduce a resculpt.
Yeah, I agree. It feels like the right place to introduce a resculpt. Yeah.
I mean, the release of the book would have been a pretty good place, but but
Well,
outside
yeah.
of that,
You know what I mean.
I feel bad for the horse. The horse makes me feel a little sad with his front of his face decayed off with goo coming out.
I didn't even notice that till you said it. That's gross.
Um, I'm glad that he kept his sign, and I'm glad they gave him a well-earned tactical rock.
Yeah. He's got the high ground now.
I think this model's rules, I forget exactly what, I remember liking them in the last edition and thinking they weren't too bad this edition. I don't remember them offhand, but I don't play Neural, so I'm not too worried about it. So then we got Sir Jerian. I I honestly don't even really know what I'm looking at, but it's fine.
Yeah, no, it's cool.
Flesh Eater
I think
Quartz.
more models for Flesh Eater Quartz is probably always good.
Yeah, like I said Flesh Eater Quartz aren't my thing, and I love their lore. I just not a huge fan of the general aesthetic. Not that there's anything wrong with it. It's just not my not my
I
flavor.
agree. Yeah, not my cup of tea.
Um, then we got to the Order one, Fiori. Oh, I first time I said that name out loud, and I just got it. That's so dumb.
You nailed it.
I again, good thing we could be negative on this channel because I hate this model so
Do
much.
you?
I hate it.
Oh
I
man.
hate it so much.
What do you? Why?
I mean, first off, the mouth is so goofy.
Yeah, that could be down to paint job, but yeah.
Well, no, like they sculpted the lip. They're sculpted to live better at the bottom. Like, you didn't do that with anyone else. Why'd you decide to do it here? And like,
Uh,
his weird like his hair. The sides aren't as bad as the front. The way that mohawk is going, like with the like here's a mohawk, but then here's like another mohawk that's like slicing over on top. I don't understand what I'm looking at, but it just
yeah,
no. I think
I
it
think it's
looks
all right. I like
good.
the hammers.
Now him jumping off of a little piece of rune is harkens back to the old Slayer leader,
Right.
so that's kind of fun. But yeah, I don't like it. I don't like his headdress. I don't like his face.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I see like they've never done a dwarf leaping off a rock before, right?
I'm fine with him leaping off a rock,
Yeah,
but like none of the other armies have like nothing else in the army has hammers that I can remember. Everything else is axes or picks, so it's weird to
that's
see
true.
hammers. Um, yeah, not a fan. Not a fan. The only way I'll be getting him is if his rules make um, Fire Slayers more fun to play. Then we have this little guy who I think he gets second place, man. I think he gets second place, and that's only because I really like the Harbinger of Decay. But Braggett Big Taka, I love how they have the little squig bats sculpted.
Yeah, yeah. This guy's the winner for me. I really like this. The bats, the mushroom
Look,
on the base.
if I wasn't openly biased, this guy would win.
All right. Yeah, squig bats get it for me. I think they're awesome.
So we were also looking at the regiments of renown. Oh boy, I'll tell you, for the Harbinger of Decay, that regiment of renown is gonna be like 500 points.
Yeah, it's not a lot.
Yeah. Um, so we'll see. Like I said, that's woof. But then like I'm looking at the Fire Slayer one, and I'm like, what the hell? Like, why do you have 10 Volkite, which are the little cheapy guys, and
Yeah,
then 10, and I don't know how they're gonna do it, but you have 5 Hearthguard Berserkers with pole axes and 5 with the gun. And so those come from the same kit, so you can essentially make the
you make
axes
you make 10 of one or
right. But if you're trying to do the Regiment of Renown,
10 of the
I don't
other.
know. I don't know how the Regiment of Renown is going to force you to take them.
Nobody really plays that though, do they? You just
Well,
buying models in a box for a little bit less money.
the problem is points are in um, such a stringent mood that it's like no one can afford to take a Regiment of Renown right now. Uh,
Yeah, right.
and then the destruction one looks like it's supposedly it. What I've heard is it's great for if you're trying to do a squig army because you get the bounders, the regular squigs, and Gobblepalooza.
Yeah, I like that box.
Yeah, definitely the winner there. Well, it depends because the if you're trying to start a Fire Slayer army, that actually might not be a bad way depending on the price because the 10 Volkite that's $60.
Well, Fire Slayers always were notoriously
Right.
expensive outside of box
Right.
sets like
And
this.
then each box of 5 of the Hearthguard, I think they're close to $60 as well. 50, $60 as well for 5. So um,
Ugh.
right, so you're looking at almost $200 worth of models. So if that comes out at like 150, 130, it's a pretty good price.
Yeah,
So here we go. Okay, so here we have our roadmap, which I'm gonna throw so much speculation out here that your head's gonna spin. Okay,
all right.
so summer, we already know Seraphon, we already know Harbingers, we already know Jonas Handbook. Autumn, Cities of Sigmar, Book 2 of Harbinger, and Book 3. A little weird, but okay, that's fine. So I assume one's going to release in August, the other one's probably going to release in October. Um, maybe September, October, probably. Well, who knows? It's only a narrative book, so we might get October like we normally do, and then who knows? Because normally like we get stuff in October.
Right. But
Um,
October, November seems fine.
I'm trying to figure out how you would do
I
two
could get on
books. So I
board with
wonder
that.
if it might be book 2 September or August, Cities of Sigmar in October, book 3 in November.
I'm just going to go right down the line. Maybe you could get the cities in August, book 2 in September, book
I
3
have a feeling
October.
we're gonna get Cities in October. I think that's gonna be our October release. Also, by the way, speaking of 10th edition, originally I was saying July, but for how much they're stroking, I don't think they're gonna hold out till July, and I think we might actually see a June release for the 10th edition.
Stroking.
Have you been watching the Warhammer Community Channel? What else do you call it?
Yeah, no.
First it was fluffing, and now it's just
Yeah, straight to the stroking.
yeah. All right, so here's the big one: Winter, Book 4, and a battle tome.
It's got to be flesh eaters, right?
See, that's what I thought. Because there's only flesh eaters left, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
So if there's only one left, and everyone knows there's only one left, why wouldn't you put flesh eaters on that cover?
Good point. Maybe they don't have the artwork yet.
No. Look at cities. They just have an S.
Yeah.
Do you know what the answer is to this question?
What is it?
It's not
New
flesh
Storm
eaters.
Cast book.
It's not flesh eaters. Do you remember 2 years ago whenever the release leaks started happening?
Release leaks for what?
The roadmap.
Oh, no.
It happened right before. Well, I guess it was right before the pandemic. I guess. So
I don't remember anything before the pandemic, so just
there was nothing before.
yeah.
So
That was a different life.
the so as we know, this is called the Dawnbringer campaign. One of the rumors said that the gates of Azir will be blown open, and that will start the Dawnbringer Crusades.
Okay.
The gates of Azir get blown up by none other than the Oathbringers, the Chaos Dwarves of AOS.
You're putting your stamp on Chaos Dwarves.
Telling you right now, write it in stone.
I'm gonna remember
Oathbreakers,
this.
January 2024.
Gonna remember that. I think that'd be cool to see. I'd be okay with that. That's one of those armies that's like the Shadow Elves. You know, I'm very interested in it. I want to see what they're gonna do. If it's done well, I'm in. So
I was talking. Do you follow the lore at all?
yeah.
So, were you following the Lumineth lore?
That no.
Okay.
More the overall.
So, do you know where Tyrion is right now?
I feel like I knew it one time, but I don't recall.
So Tyrion is currently in Ulgu.
Okay. Shadow Elves.
Fighting Malarian.
Sounds like a box set to me.
So, here's my thought process, okay? So, 4th edition, all they've talked about, if they haven't talked about Gur, they've talked about Ulgu. That's been it. At the beginning, they were also talking about Shaiish, but we haven't talked about Shaiish in years at this point.
Right, yeah. AOS 2.
Right. So, Ulgu is all we're getting. So, I think we're going to Ulgu. I don't think it's going to be the starter box. I would love it if the starter box was Tyrion Lumineth versus Malarian Dark Elves.
They'd make a bajillion dollars on that, so that's how you know they won't do it.
um, but it
It's
was
going
so
to be
funny.
Stormcast versus something.
It's probably going to be Stormcast versus Daughters of Cain.
Yeah, just what nobody wants.
Well, so think about it. So we already have. So first edition was
Stormcast
Stormcast versus
Chaos.
Khorne. Right.
Yep.
So Chaos. Then we had um,
Stormcast
Stormcast
Night Hunt.
versus Night Hunt. So now we have Death. Then we had Stormcast versus,
Destruction with the Cruel Boys.
and so now we just don't have them versing in order. And this edition also led to the fall of Anvilgard because Marathi betrayed Sigmar.
Yeah, I could see it.
If that
I
doesn't paint a pretty darn good picture, especially going into Ulgu, I don't know what will, my friend.
Yeah, they're going to have a lot of those box sets on their hands, I think, at the end of the day, if they
Well,
go ahead and do that.
you don't want what all the new the priest chamber opening up versus 400 witch elves. Is that?
Yeah, I don't think I could go. I've checked off the Stormcast train a while ago on like the regular foot troop sculpts and stuff
Yeah.
like that. I don't need another iteration of that. So they've
Well,
got to really wow me with that. But
that was one of the things that I've been talking about for a while. I can only imagine I've talked about it on the show, but I really want them to break away having Stormcast be the starter army every time. First off, I would love to see them break away from, because like both 40k and AOS has very boring starter boxes. Like there's exciting at first because it's the new models, but by the end of the release, you're like, I don't care.
yeah, no,
Whereas
I
people
agree.
still talk about the Isle of Blood release, the High Elves versus Skaven. Like, have
Right.
something fun, have something creative. Like,
I think people would go nuts if it was your Tyrion versus
oh my
Malarian.
if they
You know,
release two
people would
new
go
armies at
nuts
once,
and put them in a starter box for an edition.
people would
They wouldn't
literally
be
have,
able to make enough.
they would have aneurysms. Like it's
Yeah.
now again though, I say they wouldn't do two starting armies at the same time, but I mean if you look at the last starter set, it was all a brand new chamber of Stormcast. It was essentially a whole army by itself, and then you also had Cruel Boys, which is a brand new army by itself. So
Yeah.
thinking that they wouldn't do two armies at once is a little silly because they've done it.
Yeah, and I am a Stormcast player, always have been, but I agree. I'd like to see them get away from that. Got to be in every starter box.
But,
I don't know that that's true.
Yeah, I don't think we'll ever get there. Maybe fifth edition, we'll get something. We'll break free because now we've had Stormcast versus all four Grand Alliances, or they'll just introduce a new Grand Alliance just so Stormcast can fight someone else. But what I'd like to see is I think the reason why Stormcast always ends up where they do is because they're first on the list and GW refuses to figure out the parameters of the edition at first.
Right.
I'm not saying write every rule book up front. That's impossible, and I understand that. But at the same time, you should be like, okay, this is going to be the edition where we really focus on sixes to hit count as two successes. That's going to
Yeah.
be what we hammer home, so everyone's going to have access to that, or everyone's going to have an answer to that, as opposed to, well, let's get nuts, and Stormcast are going to have a base armor save of 3.
Yeah. But I think it would really help Stormcast if they weren't part of that starter box and not at the
Right.
beginning of an edition before those parameters have been established. You could have a Stormcast book like some of the ones we've been seeing where sub-factions could give you heroic actions or
Right.
monstrous rampages. Like that whole, that's one of the things I love about the Soulblight book.
Yeah.
It's just that the directions they took those sub-factions into, allowing you to do different things in different parts of the game.
Yeah.
Stormcast utterly lacks that. That
Absolutely.
was
It was
utterly.
like then, and what's funny is like, they try and say that power creep doesn't exist, but like if you remember, looking at the stats when the book first came out, and it was clear that the original idea was to just give them low amount of like tricks and just increase stats.
Yeah.
Which,
And it worked at the beginning.
right. But now, because of power creep that doesn't exist, they are now subpar stats.
Yeah, Ren 2 is not what it used to be.
Right, right. I mean, it's just like, oh, gee, tell me about your 2 attacks at 3s and 3s, 1 Ren 1 damage.
Yeah.
um, but, like, I absolutely think that if we could get them, we need to go one of two routes. Is they either need to break away from the starter set army, or they need to have another book, like, 18 months in.
Yeah, which will drive people nuts, right? They
Right.
hate that.
Which,
Yeah.
again, who gives a fuck them? They won't buy it anyway.
Stormcast again.
Right. And again, it's like, well, are you losing to Stormcast? No. Maybe move on. Maybe move on. Huh?
They want to keep it that way.
I did come up with something that I think would help Stormcast greatly.
What's that?
Remove the battle line feature from all ranged units.
Well, define ranged unit, though.
Units that can shoot.
I'm going to disagree.
Well, so
Dracos have a shooting attack. I love that they're battle line.
okay.
I've waited 3 editions for that, and it's finally here.
How about this? Some shooting that's actually reliable.
How about shooting greater than 12 inches?
Yeah, that's fine.
All
So,
right.
like, I think the Dracoth are fine. I think, and honestly, I think that would be a place that the hunters could actually fulfill at that point.
Okay, yeah, because they've never served a point at all.
Right. And they should. They're really awesome.
Yeah, they're cool.
I also think that they would have been, again, like, following their lore of basically, like, they're like the remnant survivors of armies that just didn't go back. So they're just like, well, I guess I'm a ranger now in full plate.
Hey, they got a fur cloak. That's all.
Right.
That's all it takes
I
to be a
killed a
ranger.
bear. Let's
Yeah. Yeah, you'd think they'd fit in the era of the beast, but once again, they don't fit into any Stormcast list.
But so if you make it so like Judicators, Castigators can't be battle line, then all of a sudden you see this, because they're like a decent shooting unit. Not the Castigators, unless you're apparently taking 18 units of them. But like Judicators aren't half bad.
No.
But
I don't think the Castigators are bad either. People have done some damage to me in games that I wasn't expecting with their with the special weapons, especially. I think, but I mean, the unit is hefty price on points.
Right.
But
and I think if you take away the battle line roll from them, you can bring that point total down 20, 30 points. Because now you can't twice reinforce it, and you still have to figure out 3 battle lines somewhere else.
I agree with that.
So
I don't think they utilize stuff that, they don't think it through that far.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
But I said, I would love to see Stormcast be a little bit more thought out.
Yeah, I agree. I think they suffer too much from that. It's got to be the starter army, so it's got to be simple to play, simple to paint. You're always going to be limited if that's your goals for the army because, fantasy Space Marines.
Well, I don't necessarily think that. I think the straightforward approach for an army design fits Stormcast really well. I just think that their actual downside is the fact is they get released first, and the start of where they think this has been the history of AOS. They think things are going to go in one direction, and then 6 months in they go, oh no, here's our actual direction, and go a completely different way. You can see that if you go back and look at keywords from first edition.
Oh yeah.
If you look at all the index rules there and all the keywords where it's very much, hey, we're going to affect all Dwarden units, and I'm going to affect all Order units, and I'm going to affect Totem units, and then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, we're not going to worry about that. All right, so let's move along here. So we got the Maw Grunta. What do you think of the Maw Grunta?
I like it. I like it a lot. I don't know if it's what the army needs, but
Wait,
I
are you
like it.
saying that it doesn't need heavy cav? A single unit heavy cav?
Is that what it is? Is it a character mount? Is it going to be both? What?
I assume when it's as big as it is, yeah, a single Maw Grunta can smash through massed infantry like a boar in a china shop. And I mean, it has a brute on each side, and there's a
Yeah,
debate as to what is on top. I think it's just a brute, but people are saying it's a little skinny for a brute, and I'm like, it's a brute. Just get over yourself.
yeah. It's a brute for sure. Are those brutes on the side or
Yeah,
Ard boys?
definitely. With how thick they are.
Yeah. So what's this going to be? Like a monster? Maybe you think it'll have that keyword?
I mean, I think it'll
Behemoth?
be a monster. I do think it'll be a monster, but I think it's just going to be a. I think it's going to be a hero that will allow you some wiggle room to take a mega boss on foot if you don't want to take the Maw Crusher.
Okay.
Um,
Let's face it. If it's good, people will probably take both.
yeah. Here's the thing, like, what's funny is like we talk about, at least I talk a lot about units, armies that need new units. I probably talk about it too much. And Ironjawz never really makes the list. And the reason for that is everything they have does what it's supposed to do properly. And I think if you like you have the Gorgruntas, like they are a perfect hybrid between heavy cav and light cav.
Yeah.
The Brutes are an awesome elite force. The Ard Boys are an awesome massed infantry. Like you have the perfect buff heroes. You have like the Maw Crusher is awesome and perfect. The Mega Boss on foot is awesome and perfect. And like, what are you gonna do? Add a bunch of like Arrow Boys to this? That really defeats the purpose of the army.
Yeah.
So you don't need heavy cav. You don't need light cav. You don't need elites. You don't need horde. Yeah,
You need a Mogrunta.
Maw Grunta. I give it
Yeah,
an
I like it.
A plus.
I'll go solid A.
All right, then we have some Horus Heresy stuff. I never I fended off the desire to get into Horus Heresy when it first came out, and now I literally couldn't care less about it.
Yep. It's like
I will
40K
say
for me.
there's a Varen Ashuradon. I assume whoever this guy is, the Terminator guy, he looks awesome. I'll say that. All right, and then Old World. So we got Tomb King. What do you think of Tomb King?
I like both these models, as a matter of
Oh, you're
fact.
jumping ahead.
Oh, sorry.
Tomb King.
Yeah, I like the Tomb King. It could be an AOS model, right? It's just
Yeah.
maybe a little smaller, but I mean the amount of stuff hanging on them, the detail they put in there, that screams AOS to me. So
Yeah.
I mean, if they're producing models like this, it's great.
And then of course you said you like the Paladin. I like the Paladin as well. Yeah, I mean, if this is what we're looking forward to, I think I'm going to have the same problem that I had like late first edition, early second edition of AOS, where I have a very hard time dealing with the new right next to the old.
Yeah, that's going to be felt for sure.
And so one of the things that we heard, so this is the first time we talked about. The first time we talked about Old World, we had a lot of like, well, how are they going to do it? because we know that they're not going to be able to produce full new models for all armies. We just,
Right.
that was on the table, but again, at the same time, it was like, there's just no way, especially when it's coming from Forge World. So in this article, they confirmed that there's going to be a small amount of new kits that will be added to armies slowly over time, and they're going to start with Tomb Kings and Bretonia. Other than that, kits are going to come in plastic, resin, and metal. And people are asking, I've seen like all over the place of, oh, what do you think they're going to do? Like metal this, metal that, blah, 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 blah. And I'm going to say it straight out. If it used to be a plastic kit, it will still continue to be a plastic kit. If it was resin, it'll continue to be resin. If it was metal, it'll continue to be metal. The only way they're going to do metal is if they still have the old sculpts. And the only way they're going to do resin is if they already had them in resin, or the metal sculpts broke because they're so frigging old.
Yeah. It's going to be a weird mix, right? If you've got plastic, metal, resin, all that stuff mixed together, it could get a little bit awkward.
Now, here's going to be the other thing, is like, okay, so I want to flesh out my dwarf army. Do I want to pay $80 for 16? I forget what the original pack was. I know the orcs were 16 for whatever reason. I can remember that. But let's say there are 10 dwarves in a kit. Do I want to pay $80 for 25-year-old dwarf models?
I don't.
Right. This is going to be a massive stopping point for people, because unless that kit is like $30, they can piss off.
Well, I think it's going to lead to the same problem that fantasy always had, was people have these models already, or there's a secondhand market. Like, they're going to be hard pressed to sell a lot of those older kits again. I feel like,
right,
and that's gonna force them to think, well, this game might be a failure. Then it didn't sell.
Oh, so. Absolutely. That's one of my biggest concerns as well, because like, I don't want the army, or I don't want the game to fail. I'd like to see it continue development, but at the same time, it's like you are setting yourself up to fail at this point.
Well, I think they wanted to cash in on all that nostalgia and the people, wanting that. But like in my experience in Old Hammer, nobody bought new models anyway.
Right.
You've had legacy models going for edition after edition. Like, yeah, you could pay those new Forge World prices to replace a unit that you already have. And I think in the Bretonian, where they talked about bases, I think the biggest reveal there was, the old models being ported over.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're sitting on a Bretonian army, what are they selling you?
Right.
Nothing.
Right. And again, like, that's one of the issues is you had, like, say, like, Tomb Kings and Bretonians, the ones that died out. It's like, okay, well, when was the last time you released a new Bretonian kit? And if your answer is 1995 or earlier, I think you found your problem. Like,
yeah. And it always was the problem, so maybe that continues. I don't know.
So we'll see. Like I said, I do worry about the future of the game based on this stuff because, again, if I remember properly, my one dwarf list had about 180 dwarves in it. And if I'm paying, no, I think it's 120. I think it's 120. But still, like, if I'm paying 10 models per box, so I'm buying 12 boxes at $80, no, I'm not paying almost $1,000 to play Warhammer Fantasy. I'm just going to buy STLs and have my buddy print out what I need. Like,
right.
And I just won't go to official Warhammer tournaments.
Well, and that gets back to what we talked about at the beginning about why the game died out in the first place.
Right.
Nobody wants to pay that much to field an army.
Right. They really need to have, like, army battalions that are half of your army for, like, $120.
Didn't somebody say at the Q&A they had talked that there will be like army boxes or a launch box,
Right. So there's gonna be a launch box.
and then start collecting boxes?
I don't know. I didn't hear about that one way or the other. But they did talk about starter boxes. The rumors that came out prior to said it's going to be Empire versus Orcs to mirror the old starter box. But I still really have my money on Bretonians versus Tomb Kings.
It makes so much sense that you have to discount that
Right.
as
Yeah,
a
that's true.
possibility.
I always tell Neil because he always tries to logic what they do, and I always have to tell him, whenever you're dealing with GW, the first thing you have to do is throw out logic. That's
I could see Bretonian. I mean, since they have that army painted up, on the new bases, and stuff like that. So clearly they're photographing that. Like it could be, maybe that's in the starter box, but I don't know.
yeah.
Who knows?
I do have to say I was shocked that we didn't get a release date or a release window. I was really hoping for like a winter or spring.
Oh, they were the hype online was that they're going to announce it for this winter.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
they didn't.
Well, because again, like, what's funny is, what I think is really funny is the rest of the Strength Hammer guys. Hi, if you're listening, guys. They are like 6 months behind me, like, like on all the trends. It says like I was telling them, I was like, oh, I wonder if they're going to try and get this out this year because this is, I believe, the 40th anniversary or 30th anniversary of Warhammer Fantasy, like this year.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
And so like I thought it would be awesome if they got this box out and they're like, in honor of the whatever year anniversary. Boom, but nope.
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 Development continues.
TBC.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we got. We got the Kill Team. What do you think about Kill Team?
No interest.
So I thought the Inquisition was okay. I kind of think Inquisition's a little bit beefier, but I guess I was wrong.
Yeah, I'm looking at them now.
Warhammer Heroes, it's fine. Kill Team next season, it's fine.
Yeah. It's that 40K game. I don't know.
Well, I'm still waiting for the Arbites box to come out because I'll paint up a set of those so I can play with Cole.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I've always liked the Arbites a lot. I always liked how they looked like a nice combination of RoboCop and Judge Dredd.
Yeah, I've always liked the Adeptus Mechanicus stuff. Even bought some, but no.
They got you. Hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah. Right. They got me to buy a couple boxes. That's it.
All right, so let's see here. Let's move over here. Okay, so palette cleanser. I don't think that's the right date. Is that? No, that's not the right one. Okay, so starting April 4th. Oh, we already got this one.
Yep.
Harbinger of Decay. What do you think?
Harbinger of Decay. Can we already do that one?
Well, that's what the rumor engine is. It's literally the Harbinger of Decay site. So, moving along. April 11th. I feel like we did this. I mean, I'm taking crazy pills. Let me know when you have it up.
What's the date?
April 11th.
Nah, it's giving me nothing on that search. What is it?
It is like, it's a Tyranid tentacle with octopus tentacles. So,
Shadow Elf, 4th edition starter box.
Chaos Dwarves. I I don't know what to say because it's like it's not Idoneth because it's clearly not an Idoneth tentacle. But it's not a Tyranid one either. I don't know. I'll just go Idoneth
Well,
for Cole.
that looks like it could be some smoke coming out there.
It's clearly
Shadowy
a
smoke.
tentacle. At least the one on top's clearly a tentacle.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe
Sylvaneth? Don't they have like creatures that have that kind of like back plates?
Not really.
No. It kind of reminds me of like the insect on the back of the cave shaman, the fungoid cave shaman.
Maybe. All right, so you're going. It's a new Gits thing. I'll go new Idoneth for Cole.
Okay.
All right, so moving along here. The April 18th Rumor Engine looks like a hand holding some magic.
Flesh cheaters.
I feel like the hand is too dark for Flesh Eaters. So I'll say Zinch.
Plausible.
April 25th, it's a space gun. Moving along.
Yep.
So then we got May 2nd. We have a Flappy Cloak. So this is reminiscent of a lot of the Mega Gargant stuff.
Yeah, patched together cloaks. I see that.
But it seems weird that we would be getting something new for Mega Gargants again. Now, here's one thing. It says, I don't know how often. I've never gone back to look and see like the rumor engine posting after the article's been, after the model has been revealed. But it says, well, that's undoubtedly a bog standard rumor engine picture right there. And why does everything smell faintly of sulfur? So if that's
Cruel
a hint,
Boys?
Cruel Boys.
I can see that.
Yeah.
It's got to be a hint.
Lord knows that it's. they need something. I don't know what they need. Honestly, I think like they have enough models. They just need better rules.
Well, why give them better rules when you can give them another model?
Right. It's like a bad marriage. Just have another kid. That'll solve your problems.
Yeah.
Oh, GW, just don't stop being 80s parents. That's
Yeah, never change.
All right, so let's move along here. I like how we had almost no news, and we still ended up taking like 2 hours.
Yeah, I was wondering. I was like, a 2-hour show. We're getting up there.
Oh, please, what are you talking about, man? Thankfully, I didn't get an opportunity to do too much research on Osiark Bone Reapers.
That's good. Neither have I.
So I did play against Osiark Bone Reapers. And,
What'd you think?
I would have liked to have played them against my Stormcast because I have a lot of experience of OBR versus Stormcast because my one buddy's trying to break into AOS and he's playing OBR right now. So I understand that pairing pretty well.
You played him with your KO, right? And blew him off the board?
Right. So here's the thing is they are slow and they don't have a lot of movement options. So I don't know what my opponent could have done. He might have been able to take 2 of the catapults. But like the catapults have kind of been nerfed, kind of like they're now utility pieces as opposed to damage pieces, which is fine to me because I think the last edition it was 2 shots and 5 damage apiece, and it was it was a good profile too.
Well, you kind of need that, right? If you don't move a lot and you don't have any shenanigans, you got to have some way of bringing them to you.
Well, that's one of the issues is like so whenever we saw the there was a rumor engine it looked like an Osiark Bone Reaper with a bow. And it was an
Oh,
OCR
never.
Bone Reaper with a bow. It was just an Underworld's warband.
Right.
And everyone was hoping
Everyone
for a
wanted.
unit.
Yeah.
I think if this army had an archery unit that was subdued, because dear God, we don't need another thrall unit or whatever the hell the ranged guys are from um, Cole's army.
Idnet.
Idneth, yeah.
Oh, the Reavers.
Dear God, the Reavers. He's like cleared my entire army out turn one with those Reavers. Like,
And they're
ugh.
not super high quality shooting though, right? They get, what is it,
Well,
one rend, one damage,
until they get within 9 inches of you,
and then what?
and then it spikes. I think they get extra attacks and extra rend, and it's like that's unnecessary.
Yeah. Okay.
So we don't need that. We just need, and we don't need sentinels. We need like little less than judicators. That's what they should be. Like, um, but the army definitely has mobility issues. Um, I definitely think you probably need a soul screen bridge in order to really get them effective. I think the horses are going to be necessary if you can't figure out a way to play stalkers just right, because stalkers have a little bit of a um, higher movement range, and I think if you could give them run and charge, it might be pretty. They might be able to fulfill that role, but since they don't, I don't. I don't think they can count as that high movement model that they need. Um,
Yeah.
and again, like, okay, let's say he had a reinforced unit of horses charge into one of my boats. Okay, well, I'm just going to unleash hell with everything I have using leadership of the alpha and just remove it off the table.
Yeah, that's a problem.
So I don't know what they. I don't understand. I'm sure there's probably be some top level player that could be like, haha, KO, I'm not worried about. Um,
Yeah.
but holy cow, the amount of command points they have.
Yeah, they get a lot.
I mean,
To go from none, in the last book to all the command points you could want.
now I will say it is absolutely awesome that they decided to get rid of that old crap. I forget what they called it, what their command points were called. Something stupid.
Relentless discipline.
Yeah, RDP.
Yep.
I'm so glad they got rid of RDP and they're just playing the same game as everybody else.
Agreed.
I thought it was silly that they didn't FAQ it to say RDP just counts as command points and cannot be targeted with abilities that affect command points. Um, I
Well,
think
solved now.
right, right. Um, but so they still have a lot of the, oh, I'm going to try and get a command point. Okay, I'm going to roll a die, see if you don't get it. They have a lot of unique um, command abilities that work really well for the army. And I think this is going to be an army that you have to learn. You're going to have to drill it into your brain. You're going to have to, um, you have to get your combos. If your
Yeah.
combo makers die, you're done. You're done. Um, I also, I hesitantly say this, but the army's brand new and nobody watches us anyways, so I feel fine saying I think Catacross is a little bit of a trap.
Yeah, I mean, I think outside of what, like Marathi and stuff, those types of characters usually are.
Yeah. I mean, he does a lot of incredible stuff. But at his points, even
What
though
is he, 440?
yeah, it's right in there.
I think I looked this up earlier. Yeah, I think he's like 440. I don't think that's crazy.
Well, here's the thing: is like I honestly don't think that the points are too much. I don't think they are. Um, Yeah, 440 on the button. So I think he is a 440 model. The problem is that the individual units do so little that you need to have a bigger footprint of your rank and file. And so
Yeah,
for every point that you're not putting towards more tech guard or um, the assassin guys,
stalkers.
right, or stalkers, you know, is stuff that you're now missing out on, or even hell, just the cavalry, so you can pin stuff, like or steal back objectives,
Yeah,
um,
the Death Riders.
right. So, like I said, I'm interested to see where the book goes. I'm interested to see what my buddy can do with it. He's really smart. He's only been playing. I think we've only played maybe 4 or 5 games. And if we could play more often, I think he would surpass me in 6 months. Like he's on his way. He knows this book. He knew the old book so well with very little play. Um,
I think that's key for those types of armies, right? You got to know your
yes,
book, know how it interacts.
yeah. I did play the. My opponent did bring the Mortison Ossifector, the new unit. Um,
Yeah, any good?
I don't even know what it does, man. I I was like, it's a new army, and he brought the new guy, so it's probably pretty good. So I should probably shoot it off the table real quick.
When you KO, that's the plan.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is like KO, bring your sharpshooters, and then start shooting sharp. That's so.
Yeah.
Like I said, the book on first impression, I'm going to give it a C plus with an asterisk, and my asterisk is just I reserve the right to bump it up if I feel necessary later.
My impression from a little bit of research I did was I'd give it a B. I
Yeah.
think I talked to Hunter at the club briefly at the last GT, asked him what he thought, and he said he loved the book. So there's a guy who plays Bone Reapers,
Good.
always has. So I'll defer to him. He likes it. I give it a B.
Cool. Cool. Yeah, that's not too far off. So, yeah, like I said, I would like to be able to give this a B plus, but I just don't think it's quite there. Um, but we'll see. Time will tell, and I give myself an asterisk to remain flexible.
I'll allow it.
All right, on to the book we've both been
Much more involved in. Yeah.
been much more involved in, the Soulblight Gravelords, which I know a lot of people have been surprisingly down on.
Mm. I think there was a gut reaction at first at some of the stuff that was lost, just going by online
Yeah.
reaction.
Um,
Um,
well, I'll say like for the cons, I'm gonna put the zombies in both pro and con. Um, because they made them harder to use, but at the same time, I feel like you should have to do more than just double reinforce a unit of zombies, run it down the middle of the board for win. Like I feel like you should have to do more with zombies than just that.
I mean, I think you can, right? Like you can give them a corpse cart.
Well,
They're doing mortal wounds on the attacks.
I'm saying
You can
last
give them
edition.
the last edition. Yeah,
Yes, second edition. Whenever we got our first Soulblight Gravelord Battle Tome, it was, hey, you like zombies? Cool. Take 200 of them. Just move down the table and win.
yeah. They were a no brainer
Right.
unit before.
See what you did there. What are you painting, by the way?
Dire
Oh,
Wolves.
dire wolves. Nice.
Can't see it too well, but yeah, just doing some basing.
Um, yeah, like I said, I really. It's funny. Like I kind of want to have a Soulblade army, but I don't necessarily want to paint a Soulblade army.
I'm having a great time with it,
Yeah,
as
but you
slow as it
like
is.
painting, and you're also really good at it. So
Thanks. No, it's a lot of models for me, especially at the rate I paint. But
yeah,
it's a different enough palette to the stuff I've done before, like the INF and the Stormcast and stuff like that. So it's going well, and I really like compared to the Bone Reapers, say, like it's a Death Army, but it's that more classic, like Gothic fantasy
yeah,
Death Army.
yeah,
That really
definitely.
appeals to me.
Um, well, I said for me, it's like I'm so used to like playing the good guys that this is so out of my wheelhouse that it like comes back around and like fits somehow.
Yeah, right.
Um, but I love the idea of having all the zombies and everything. Now, again, like I said, in the negative category, I will put. Um, I'm going to feel confident putting uh, the shadow in there.
Say that again.
The was it Legion of Shadow?
There's no Legion of Shadow, man.
Whatever. Hold on.
Legion of Blood,
No,
Legion
there
of
is a Legion
Night.
of Shadow. Don't be giving me a hard time. You're doing that on purpose. um,
I am not. What's the Legion of Shadow? Legion of Night? Legion
Legion
of
of
Blood?
Night. Legion of Night.
It's not Shadow. That's Night.
It's close enough. There's shadows. When there's too many shadows, it becomes night. That's what.
All right. Moon Shadows.
Um, boy, man, I really like Manfred,
Oh yeah. The model or the rules?
the character,
Yeah.
and I do think his rules are fun. But I think because there was a lot of people kind of poo-pooed Legion of Night in the last edition. But I played this army, I think, like 3 times, and everyone was like Legion of Night, and then I played Legion of Night, and they're like, "Holy shit, Legion of Night!"
Yeah.
But this new one, it just doesn't cut it.
Now Legion of Night's probably it's the
Yeah,
one I can't figure out the identity for.
right.
What are they leaning into?
Well,
I
that's the whole
can't
thing. Is
figure
like
that out.
they're leaning into like the tricksy stuff, but they don't have units to support the tricksy stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you can. What's that? The one you can countercharge,
Right.
like
So,
in the
well,
opponent's charge
that's
phase.
I believe that
If you
is good.
can manage it, like getting like charging your screen, and then you can charge in with some Grave Guard. If you can manage to set that up,
Right.
that's great. But
Yeah.
can you set that
Let's
up?
let's get it. Let's actually get into it a little bit. So we have Ageless Cunning. Once per turn during the enemy's charge phase, after an enemy unit finishes a charge move, you can pick one friendly Legion of Night unit within 12 inches of that enemy unit and more than 3 inches from enemy units. That unit can attempt to charge. I mean, that could be
Yeah,
pretty devastating with some Blood Knights.
yeah, or a Vampire Lord,
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too worried about a Vampire Lord.
Zombie Dragon
That's one thing.
on Zombie Dragon.
Yeah, now you're talking. But
Yeah, that's what I meant.
I know how much you love that Zombie Dragon, by the way.
Hate that Zombie Dragon.
Then we have Unto the Jaws of Death. At the end of the charge phase, you can carry out this monstrous rampage with a friendly Legion of Night Zombie Dragon or Legion of Night Terrorgeist instead of any other monstrous rampage you can carry out with that unit. Pick one enemy unit within 6 inches of this unit that made a charge move in the hero phase and roll in the hero phase. Made a charge in this phase and roll 2d6. Add 3 to the roll if that enemy unit is within half inch of this unit. If the roll is greater than the unmodified charge roll for that charge move, this unit can attack with its Pestilence Breath or Death Shriek in this phase and must target that enemy unit. Boy, that's a long way to that well.
Yeah, that any
Let's
of
take
those
a
rules
look.
that start out like that, like roll 2d6, add this number if this, subtract.
Yeah, let's
It
see
never
here.
does. It never does anything for me.
So let's see what the Pestilence Breath is.
You're
Uh,
going to be disappointed.
what are you talking about? It's D6 attacks. Which, do you know what D6 attacks on this channel counts as?
One or two?
A one. Yeah, one attack
Yeah.
at threes and threes, one rend, 3 damage. So, I mean, there is the world where you roll the 6 and you get 5 of those 6 to hit and 4 of those hits to wound, and then your opponent fails 4 wounds, and all of a sudden 12 damage is going into a unit that you just charged. That's not likely to happen.
No.
But thanks for trying. That's
Yeah.
so again, like I said, I think Ageless Cunning.
Not a great rule.
Yeah, Ageless Cunning, I think, is a pretty good rule. Into the Jaws of Death is a worthless rule. And then Swift Form, pick one friendly Legion of Night vampire hero more than 3 inches away from all enemy units. Remove that unit from the battlefield and set it up again on the battlefield more than 9 inches from all enemy units. That hero cannot move in the following movement phase. Cool.
Yep.
Cool. Now, the other issue, I think there's no real good artifacts. I think there's okay artifacts. I think the whole book is okay artifacts with a couple bangers.
Yeah. I think the Claw Legion of Knight's not bad. +2 to cast.
Well, yes. Yeah, definitely. So let's see here. So first we have the God almighty. Chiropterian Cloak. Wait,
Yep.
Close? If the unmodified hit roll for an attack made with a melee weapon that targets the bearer is 1, the attacking unit suffers 1 mortal wound after all its attacks have been resolved.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if it's on a high wound model like a Zombie Dragon, Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon, you might get more use out of that.
Yeah.
Something that, you're going to be throwing into the fight against a lot of attacks, it's okay.
Yeah, then we got Morbeg's Claw, this one you were talking about in your hero phase.
Yep.
If the bearer is more than 3 inches from all enemy units, you can say that they will carve sigils into the ground using this claw. If you do so, add 2 to casting rolls for friendly Legion of Night Wizards, wholly within 12 inches of the bearer until your next hero phase. However, the bearer cannot make normal move, run, retreat, or attempt to charge in your next hero phase, or until your next hero phase. So
yeah, you put that on like a necromancer or something, or a vampire on
foot. What do you know? You're not going to get your necromancer in there with some flaming sword, huh?
Nah.
And then finally, Shard of Night. It's ethereal.
It's the good ethereal, right?
Ignore negative modifiers to save rolls for. Oh no, it's the good and the bad. Ignore negative modifiers to save rolls for attacks made with missile weapons.
Missile weapons.
Like, really, is it really going to be the end of the world if it's all attacks? Seriously?
Yeah.
GW finds the weirdest hills to die on. I'll tell you.
Yeah, right. And after everything they give the Legion of Blood, you can't pump the tires a little bit on the old Legion of Night.
Let's see. Finally, we got our command traits. Above suspicion. During deployment, instead of setting up... What is the lore for this one? This general is almost trusted by the matriarch of Night and given greater leniency for enacting their wicked schemes. What the fuck does that mean? Okay. During deployment, instead of setting up this general on the battlefield, you can place to one side and say that they're in ambush. And then just outside of 9.
Yeah.
No, I don't. You're already in the Legion of Night. You can already do that.
Well, you already have grave sites, too.
Right.
Yeah, it's not really a problem.
Here's the thing. You know what you do? You give someone else Manfred's old ability and go, after combat, you can pick this model up and put it on a grave site more than 9 inches, or within 3 inches or 6 inches of a grave site more than 9 inches away from enemy units. Boom. Awesome.
Done. Yeah.
The bait. While this general is on the battlefield, add 1 to save rolls and ward rolls for attacks that target friendly Legion of Night summonable units in the first battle round.
Yeah.
It's great until you put that last sentence.
Right. If you could pick the battle, even if it just lasted for one battle round, but you could decide when to pop it,
Yeah.
that would be fantastic.
Yeah, once per battle.
Yeah.
Or even the turn that a summonable unit shows up on the battlefield.
Yeah, like the old Stormcast Shock and Awe or whatever.
Unbending Will. Models in a friendly Legion of Knights summonable unit count as 2 models instead of 1 for the purpose of contesting objectives while they're wholly within 12 of this general. Can we... I feel like I'm the only person beating this drum, but can we let the wholly within die? We've already updated the cohesion rules.
Yeah, I agree with you. Especially in this book, some of the bubbles are a little bit much for wholly within, given the horde troops that you're working with, right? You know,
here, take 60 zombies, but don't forget you got to keep them wholly within 12 inches of your general.
Yeah, right. Like you said, you fix cohesion, so you can't string them out across an entire battlefield. You know,
we got wholly within to prevent the stringing out, and now that we got rid of the stringing out through the cohesion, we can now get rid of wholly within, which is one thing that is strangling this game. I know the pros have learned how to handle their uh-oh. Did they die?
Sorry. The AirPods died, yeah. It's all right.
I can outlast AirPods, all right. Like I said, I mean, it's one thing to... I lost it. Doesn't matter. Okay, so which one do you want to go on to next? Let's go...
Which subfaction?
Well, I guess we should handle the regular battle traits.
Yeah, that's fine.
So all Gravelord units have a 6+ ward.
About time.
Cool. Too bad Stormcast don't have that.
Hammers of Sigmar do within
12 inches of an
objective.
Yeah. Ugh, that should be a 5-up, and it should be 6-up across the board. It's such a shame that both the Sigmar and the Will of Grogny couldn't come up with a way to, defend against mortal wounds.
Yeah.
Okay, Deadly Invocation. In your hero phase, you can pick up to 3 friendly Soulblight Gravelord summonable units wholly within 12 inches of a friendly Soulblight Gravelord's hero. You can either heal up to 3 wounds allocated in to that unit, or if no wounds have been allocated to the unit, you can return a number of models that have a combined wound characteristic of 3 or less. Add 1 to the number of slain models that are returned to that unit if the unit is wholly within 12 inches of a grave site. You cannot pick the same unit to benefit from this ability more than once per phase. Awesome.
That's good. Yep.
Awesome. This is so cool. Like, what was it in last edition? Was it just the spell?
It was the spell.
So here we have an ability. Yes.
Yeah, much easier to do. I've seen people arguing that it's 3 units within range of 1 hero, but that's not the way I read it.
Well, let's see here. Yeah, it says, I mean, I get where they're coming from, but it's not, if they wanted it that way, they would say, pick a friendly Soulblight Gravelord's hero and choose and pick up 3 units within that.
Yep, I agree completely. Yeah, it's given that they didn't word it as in you're picking the hero.
Right.
Instead, you're picking the units, so it's all predicated on the units, not the hero.
I mean, here's another way to read it. Pick up to 3 friendly Soulblight Gravelord summonable units. If a unit is wholly within 12 inches of a friendly Soulblight Gravelord's unit, heal up to 3 wounds.
Perfect.
Like, there's nowhere saying that it all has to be the same hero, and I would not hold my opponent to such standards.
No.
Okay, so we move along. Endless Legions. At the end of the movement phase, you can pick 1 friendly Soulblight Gravelord summonable unit that has been destroyed and roll a die. Add 1 to the roll if it is your movement phase. So that's really cool that you can do
both
your movement or your opponent's.
That makes it so much better.
If you pick a summonable unit that is not a hero, which is awesome that they had to add that caveat. On a 4+, so 50-50, or 60% on 66%, 66.66, repeating. And your turn. A new replacement unit with half the models of this from the unit that was destroyed, rounding up, is added to your army. That unit must be set up wholly within 12 inches of a friendly Soul Blight Gravelord's hero or a gravesite and more than 3 inches from all enemy units. It cannot attempt a charge or make a pile-in move in the same turn. Each destroyed unit can only be replaced once. Replacement units cannot themselves be replaced. Now, I get it. I get it. But do you know how badly I want to set up a 30 block of zombies 3 inches away from an enemy unit and then pile in 6 inches?
Yeah, right. They had to get rid of it for some reason.
like that to me is the quintessential zombie movie where they start popping out of the ground and immediately go into attack mode. I love that this is 3 inches. I'm a little disappointed you can't run charge or pile in, or charge or pile in.
But the fact that you can do it in their movement phase, at the end of their movement phase, no less. So they've set up their movement phase. They're ready to charge. This, that, or the other thing, and you can bring back your 30 zombies and stick them 3 inches away. So have fun. Yeah. Have fun dying on these again.
I say, man, I love it. And then, of course, you can also do a hero, 4+ as well. You can set up that hero wholly within 12 inches of another hero or gravesite, more than 3 inches from enemy units, and you give it 3 wounds. That hero, same thing, cannot pile in or whatever.
And it's the same hero, right? So if you had artifacts on him or anything like that,
it's coming because it says if you pick a summonable hero on a 4+, you can set up that hero. So you are talking about the hero that died.
Not a replacement hero. Right.
Then the Unquiet Dead. After territory, this is just your standard gravesite. You can put 2 points within your territory and up to 2 points anywhere on the battlefield outside your territory to be gravesites. Each gravesite must be more than 1 inches away from all terrain features and objectives. If both players can set up gravesites at the same time, you got to roll off.
Still good.
Awesome. Just awesome. Yep. I don't know about 2 in your own territory.
It depends on how big your territory is. Some of the plans it shrunk. So
I think about the one that is just the the middle. Here I'm like I don't want 2 in there.
Yeah, I mean you got to just put them on either end as far as you can.
But I love that this does not say outside of your opponent's territory.
Right. Well, and you can put stuff in the grave. So right off the bat, if you're able to stick one in their territory somewhere, close to one of those, starting objectives, on the edge of somebody's territory, like right off the bat, they've got to think about it. They can't just freely move away because I'm going to pop 3 Fellbats out of there.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's definitely where the stocks of the Fellbat and the Direwolves have definitely popped into place. Because, you're not really going to pop 60 zombies into someone's backyard because you need the heroes, you need the carts.
You need the screening, you got to have something there up front. But yeah, I'm all in on the couple units of Fellbats in the grave, just waiting. Who knows?
But like I said, it's interesting. There's places like this where they really let you have fun.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to try this army out a little bit. Like I said, with my back, there's no way I could ever take it to a tournament because I love some zombies. But definitely a one-off. Let's see. Let's go Castelli Dynasty because this one I think is dumb. Yeah, this is a dumb one.
A lot of people were down on this one this time around.
Well, it's monsters, and like the monsters are
Castelli? That's the Blood Knights.
Castelli.
Avangori is the monsters.
Well, we're doing Castelli. So at the end of your charge phase, sorry, Battle Crazed. At the end of your charge phase, you can carry out this monstrous rampage with a friendly Castelli monster instead of any other monstrous rampage you can carry out with that monster. Battle Crazed. Add 1 to wound rolls for attacks made with melee weapons by this unit in the following combat phase. It's fine.
Yep.
It's a little It's underwhelming. Like it's not sexy, but you'll be glad you had it.
I think a lot of the extra monstrous rampages are like that.
Yeah.
Just across the board.
I kind of want some viciousness, like
Yeah, if it's a monstrous rampage, let's let it feel monstrous and rampagey.
I don't quite understand how like you are rampaging a battle craze. That doesn't. Masters of Retaliation, not the. Don't at me in the comments, because we definitely have people still listening 2.5 hours in. At the start of the hero phase, you can carry out this action with a friendly Callisti vampire hero instead of other heroic actions you can carry out with that hero. Pick one friendly Callisti vampire hero until the end of that turn. At the end of each phase, if any wounds or mortal wounds were allocated to that hero in that phase and that hero was not slain, roll a die for each enemy unit within 3 inches of that hero. On a 2+, that unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. Whoo! I mean, again, it's going to be good for the vampire dragon.
Yeah, and and they all have the hunger too, so they can take some damage, not be slain, heal that damage back, and now they can kick out some mortal wounds for it.
And then we have Might of the Crimson Keep at the end of the combat phase. If any enemy models were slain by attacks made with melee weapons by a friendly Castelli vampire unit, in that phase, you can pick one relevant ability opposite to apply to the friendly unit for the rest of the battle. If more than one ability opposite would apply to that unit, you must pick which ability it gains. Cannot gain the same ability more than once. So if you slay a monster or a hero, add 1 to damage outside of mount stuff. If the slain model had wound characteristic of 3 or more and was not a hero, add 1 to attack characteristics. If the slain model had a wound characteristic of 2 or less, add 1 to that unit's movement speed.
I feel like they missed the trick there. Like if it was move and charge, okay, but just add 1 to movement.
Well, I was gonna say you can keep adding it, but no, you can only get each ability once.
Yeah. So what? Your Blood Knights go from movement 10 to movement 11?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or
like I said,
the Vampire Lord.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know, man. It's fine. It's fine. It's not as bad as I thought, but it's still not good.
Well, you're after the damage and the attacks, right? That's where it's really getting good.
Yeah. Okay, well, here's your Blood Knight stuff here with Swift and Deadly for the command trait. Reroll charge rolls within 12 of the general. The Shift and Keep during deployment if the general's on the battlefield. Instead of setting up a Castelli Blood Knight unit on the battlefield, you can place it to one side and say that it's in the Crimson Keep. You can set up 1 unit in the Crimson Keep for each unit you've put on the battlefield. At the end of movement phase, you can set up 1 unit wholly within 6 of the battlefield edge, more than 9 away. I don't really feel that's necessary.
No, I don't think you need it in a cavalry-based army.
I mean, if I was going for this, I don't know. No, I mean, I guess it's better than nothing. If you got to try and steal that backfield objective, but you can't move. I guess you can say you can't move. Oh, at the end of your movement phase. Implied can't move.
Right.
Undead Blade Lord, once per turn, if this general is on the battlefield with a friendly Castelli Vampire, or when a friendly Castelli Vampire unit gains an ability from the Might of the Crimson Keep battle trait, this general has not gained, the general also gains the same ability.
That's a good one.
It's probably the route I would go.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, you're kind of forced into that route.
I mean, you can only get them once, and if you're going with I'm talking myself out of it, out of Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon, you probably don't need that because you're probably going to be getting it yourself. So yeah, so re-roll charges. That's what I'm going with. That was what I said the whole time.
I think it works for the army.
Oh, this is actually I actually like. I didn't like this before. Now I'm starting to like it.
Talking himself into it.
Talk myself into it. I love the Blood Knight models.
Yeah, they're really nice.
Love them. So for the artifacts, they have subtract 1 from wound rolls for attacks made with melee weapons by enemy units within 3 of the bearer. Woof, always rough.
Yeah, you got to. That's the one I take. I think.
Once per battle round, at the end of the battle shock phase, you can return 1 slain model to each friendly Calistai or Castella. It doesn't matter. A summonable unit wholly within 18 inches. This would have been awesome if you got rid of Castella or got rid of summonable.
Yeah, well, I think it would work better in like Legion of Night or something like that. Yeah. You know, because you're taking mostly Blood Knights, right. Vampire Lords. I think the Vengorian Lord in this sub faction works really well with the both the what he's got at the -1 rend. You can give him the Fragment Keep. You can make him a Blade Lord, so he's picking up the bonuses from your Blood Knights or something else. He can keep up with everything with his move, so I think he's a pretty decent pick.
You got that? You're piping some of this. Is that the one you're going for?
If I was to do a Castella, yeah, that I made a list for each sub faction, trying to like lean into what they were trying to do.
You're all about.
Yeah, but I kept coming back. I think the Vengo Lord works really well in Castella with that.
I want that model to be good.
He's a little bit better in Castella than he is in Avangor.
Definitely in that one, in the monster one. But like, in my opinion, you're probably like, outside of those, you're probably only going to be taking one vampire zombie dragon, if any.
Yeah, see, my Castella, I would have Vordry, the Vangorian Lord, and a Vampire Lord.
Right.
And that's the vampire trio there.
I actually prefer the generic as opposed to the named Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon.
You can do that as well.
Because then you give them artifacts and stuff. All right, my voice is actually starting to go, so we're going to just go ahead and jump to the good ones.
All right.
Which one do you want to do first? Blood or Virkos?
Virkos is my favorite, so let's do that one.
Sure. So the infamous lineage. At the start of your hero phase, you can carry out 1 heroic action. Blah, blah, blah. We've already read all of it. So you can do Pack Alpha, pick 1 friendly Virkos vampire hero, then pick 1 friendly Virkos Deadwalker unit within 12 inches of that hero and visible to them. You can add D3 models to that unit.
Love it.
They even say designer's note. This ability allows friendly Deadwalker unit to be taken above its maximum unit size. You want 63 or on this channel 61?
I like it for direwolves, like the next heroic action you're going to mention.
This is what I'm going to be doing. If it was me, it would be pick 1. If you do pick 1 vampire hero, add 1 unit of 10 direwolves to the army. The unit must be set up wholly within 9 inches of the hero carrying out the heroic action and 9 inches away from all enemy units. Direwolves unit cannot move in the following movement phase. You cannot carry out this heroic action more than once per battle. So maybe not. I mean, this would be so. Okay. A lot of people see this, and I'm sure they think round 1. But they think the same thing in Fire Slayers with their movement rune. You keep that movement rune in your back pocket for whenever you are 7 inches away from an objective. Or when you just failed your summon roll in your opponent's movement phase, and now you're looking, oh crap.
Right.
Then we got Strength of the Wolf is the Pack. In the combat phase, after a friendly Virkos hero has fought for the first time in that phase, you can pick one friendly Virkos unit that has not fought in the combat phase that is within 3 inches of the enemy unit, and that is wholly within 12 inches of that friendly Virkos hero. That unit fights immediately.
It's okay. I mean, the fact, like, so you're picking heroes, and then you can choose something else to fight.
Right. And then it even has designer's note. If that unit you pick to fight immediately is a Virkos hero, after that unit is fought, you cannot use this ability to pick another friendly Virkos unit to fight immediately.
Yeah, I mean, you can use some power pairs there. You know, you can swing with a vampire hero, and then something next to him. Like it can work. You have to set it up a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. And again, also like with some of the other stuff that you can do in here, it's so strong that just because you have one rule that's a little weak doesn't necessarily make it.
Well, I think it fits better in a less aggressive army too. Like if they're coming to you, and then they're hitting your wall of summonable troops, and then your turn comes around and you pile in with something, that can activate that double strike. It's fine.
All right. So what? Okay. So for command traits, reroll charge rolls for units wholly within 9 of the general. General counts as a number of models equal to their wound characteristic. Or at the start of the hero phase, friendly Virkos Deadwalker units wholly within 9 inches of the general can make a move up to 3 inches.
I like the last one, except for the wholly within 9 inches.
Yeah, that's pretty rough.
It will work on, say, a unit of dire wolves or something that maybe isn't quite as big as 60 zombies or something like that.
Well, unfortunately, this one specifically says Deadwalkers.
Wolves are Deadwalkers.
Oh, okay. I thought that was just.
No, it's wolves and zombies.
Okay.
Corpse cart.
That makes sense. Okay, so for artifacts, you can roll a die each time your opponent spends a command point. On a 4-up, you receive an extra command point.
I think I may, like, after playing some games, if you find yourself really command point hungry, maybe you want to try that. But I'm going with the phylactery.
Terminus clock. At the start of the enemy hero phase, you can say that the bearer will stop the terminus clock. If you do so, roll a die on a 3+. Till the end of that phase, subtract 1 from casting rolls for enemy wizards. Love it.
Do you really?
I love it.
What if they don't have any wizards?
It's fine.
What if you roll a 1?
I will roll a 1. But you're going to see the look on my opponent's face. All right. So we had to take a little break there. I apologize about that. However, it is getting late for both of us. Mike's just not used to the power hour way of life where...
Yeah. What did somebody say? The 3-hour power hour.
No. It's so powerful that it's 1 hour of content within 3 hours of video. That's so what we'll do here, we're gonna do a little bit of a lightning round. So all right, so you said you liked
Miracles. Yep.
What artifact do you go with?
The phylactery, the add 1 to the deathless minions.
Yeah, I mean that's again, if it wasn't wholly within 9.
The wholly within 9 is tough, but it pairs well with stuff like the banners.
Yeah.
So the banners in the units let you reroll 1s to deathless minions. So now you're 5-up rerolling 1s.
Okay, that's pretty good.
If you can get them in that 9-inch bubble.
And then for me, my favorite is Legion of Blood.
It's everyone's favorite.
I gotta say, there's a little something that just warms the cockles of my heart whenever I don't listen to what anyone else says, and I still pick what they pick.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, somewhere, my brain is doing it right.
Yeah. You hit on it. Like, you identified the right things.
Well, I'll tell you, like, I still remember whenever Fire Slayers, the second book came out, and everyone went to the one where you can, like, run and charge in the first round. I'm like, Hermdar.
Yeah.
Hermdar. And then, like, a year later, everyone's like, oh my god, Hermdar's so good. I'm like, yeah. Like, I'm literally taking Hermdar to lists and, like, tournaments, and people are like, what are you doing with Hermdar? I'm like, I don't have to take Battle Shock in my deployment field, your territory, or within 12 inches of an objective. So I'm not taking Battle Shock. So regardless here, so real quick, for the battle traits for the Legion of Blood, at the start of hero phase, you can carry out one heroic action, just like everybody else. Pick one friendly vampire hero. Till the end of the turn roll, ward rolls cannot be made for wounds or mortal wounds caused by attacks made by this hero, which is awesome if you take the vampire dragon.
Yep.
However,
no brainer there.
Yeah, the other one is probably going to be the route I go, because I'm probably going to go zombie hordes. With pick one friendly vampire hero. Until the end of this turn, your opponent must spend 2 command points instead of 1 to issue all-out attack, all-out defense and inspiring presence command, and inspiring present commands to enemy units within 12 inches of that hero. Which, actually, now kind of rereading, it's like, are you really gonna be? Well, I guess if I choose like a necromancer or vampire lord and just shove it up the butt of the zombie unit, should be within 12.
Yeah.
I mean,
if you're going zombie horde, I see it.
If there's a 60-man zombie unit coming into one of your units and you can't inspiring presence, chances are you're going to have a bad time. Chances. Not a given, but there's a chance. And then finally, if a friendly Legion of Blood vampire hero is within 3 inches of enemy units, it is bloodthirsty. And friendly vampire hero is more than 3 inches from all enemy units, it's empowered. If it's bloodthirsty, +1 attacks. If it's empowered, +1 to casting. Boom.
Best sub-faction rule in the book.
I want that shit with dwarves so bad. Like, I feel like right there, that's how you make Arcanauts better.
Yeah.
If they charged, give them +1 to hit or +1 to wound. If they didn't charge, give them +1 to hit with their guns.
Yeah.
Okay, command traits for blood. I forget which one I like here.
Is it the unrendable save?
Well, let's see. I think that's right. You can pick up to D3 enemy units that are not heroes or monsters. Attacks made with melee weapons that target that unit score an unmodified hit roll of 2+ while it's within 3 inches of the general. Thankfully, it says not holy.
Right.
But yeah, I really like that one.
That's the doomed minions, huh? Yeah, I think that's the winner there.
And then for artifacts of power, Amulet of Screams. Just the thought of Amulet of Screams, which by the way is roll a die each time an enemy unit within 18 inches of the bearer successfully casts a spell that is not unbound on a 3+. That unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. It is after the spell is resolved, so...
Right, they still get their spell.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that coupled with a Spirit Gale doing board-wide mortal wounds, all of a sudden those 5-6 wound enemy wizards on the back line are...
Yeah, and that's exactly it here. So, are you going to go Spirit Gale as your favorite spell?
Yep. I like Soul Pike too.
I do. Here's the thing: is like we lost a couple spells, and I don't think we really lost a couple spells because I think Vile Transference combines 2 spells.
I mean, I think Vile Transference existed before, right? Just not quite the same.
No, there's no. I think it's on It might be a vamp or death mage, I think. Waste away, I think.
Yeah,
It's
that.
two spells put together. So I'll go waste away just to
Yeah,
be different. Um, all right. So for War Scrolls, do you have like a go-to hero?
I think Belladamma's the clear winner for me. Wolf Granny, 2 spells.
I mean,
It's +1.
Under the Killing Moon is casting value 6, range of 24 inches. If successfully cast until your next hero phase, if the unmodified hit roll for an attack made with a melee weapon by a friendly Vyricos unit wholly within range of the caster is 6, that scores 2 hits on the targets instead of 1. Make a wound roll for both. Like,
Great for zombies.
right. My dear God, is that. Whew, whew. The only problem I have is once I forget, does the current GHB don't hit a hero thing? Does that that has to be non-unique heroes, right? Or is it just anything on a foot under 10 wounds?
I believe it was anything under 10 wounds.
So that's the problem. Is she's I mean 9 wounds is pretty good. Like that's a good place to be with a
Yeah,
4
she
up
hits
save,
sweet spot.
and the 170 points is not bad. I
Not for
do
two cast wizard
right.
with
I
a bonus
do,
to cast, dispel.
assuming that she can't be shot without sharpshooter. I do worry about her after this GHB is over.
Oh yeah, why is that? Points going up? You think?
No, just how easy she is to be shot.
Yeah,
She's going to be a huge target, but hopefully
she can pass wounds off to dire wolves.
Oh yeah. Okay. Um,
Some survivability there.
yeah, I think the Manfred War Scroll is a lot of fun, but I don't think it is.
Not as fun as the old one.
So here's why I'll disagree.
All right.
Because now you are forced to attack with him.
Right. Okay. I can see that.
I love that if you give him redeploy, you can just fucking charge with him. Like,
Right.
how fucking cool is that? Like, oh shit, I don't want to get within 9 inches of that son of a bitch now. That's and so like I said, the one I really liked before the like instead of fighting, I'm gonna go away and I'm gonna go anywhere on the table, and you're gonna have to keep that shit in your mind all the time.
Right, but the fact that people hated it so much just made it so Manfred.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think with that being said, he's going to be my honorable mention. And I think I'm going to have to go Vampire Lord on Zombie Dragon. He's not in any of my lists because 440 is just so many points, especially in this army.
Same points as Catacross, as we were talking about
He's
earlier.
Not Catacross level of utility.
No.
And the Snapping Maw does hit on a 4+, which is a big point against it. But he has a lot of attacks. All of them are at 2 or more damage. And he's a wizard. And he has hunger. And he causes terror.
Yeah, the terror is the key for that, I believe.
Yeah, like I said, I would like to see this be... I know everyone gasps when I do my giant point swings, but I would like to see him at 380.
I think he'd still be okay there.
He might be a little too low, but I think once you hit 400, the points are just so detrimental to the rest of the army.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can squeeze him in a lot of lists. I think he makes the cut in most instances. But yeah, I don't think he'd be out of line at 380.
Now, I also think like the Zombie Dragon without a rider Hit 300 points. Just throw it out.
Yeah.
Just throw it out. It's useless. Same thing with the terror guys. Throw it out.
Yeah. What? No one's taken those. Maybe in an Avangori list, which I made one. I don't like it.
Yeah. So battle line. I'm taking zombies, so you can take the skeletons or dire wolves.
I like both. I like all three battle line. All three regular battle line are great.
Well, give me an argument for one of the other two, because I said
Well, I like the skeletons.
the skeletons.
Yep, resin on a 4-up every combat phase. My combat phase, your combat phase. Every model that's been slain from a 30-man unit. So you got them down to 6 models. Yeah, come combat phase, I'm rolling 24 dice at the start.
And
every 4.
And they're still subject to rally, and they're still subject to
all the healing, the recursion that you get for. Yep.
And then, does the zombie spell work on them, or the vampire spell to res more work on them? Or I'm sorry, the ability. It's not a spell anymore.
The ability for the what is it? +1 attack.
Yeah, that does work on them, but the.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. So is it Necromancer that has? Because someone has some ability to bring back more models, right? No. Yeah, undead minions. No. No, never mind. Forget that. Ignore it. Yeah, so they have the Dance Macabre, which is Gravelord Summonable unit as well. So both the Necromancer and Vampire Lord also work on them. Not that you're really going to be doing too much damage with these guys.
No, but if you outnumber, you do get the +1 pip to rend, so it's just going to be a weight of attacks at that point.
Yeah.
Just rolling buckets of dice and.
I mean, 4s and 3s looks a lot better, especially considering you can get that 3s and 3s if you do an all-out attack. 3s, 1 rend 1 damage for a unit of 30. That costs you
285 or 260. Yeah, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
265.
Well, I guess it'd be 240.
245.
245, 250, right in there. Can't argue with that, especially if you're going to give them +1 attack and then you can attack twice with them.
Yeah, and they're great. Like for me, they're going to hold the center line. Like, what I put on the table, not in a grave site, like it's going to be anchored by the 30 block of Skelly that, have some heroes backing them up.
And then we might as well talk about them as well, because the dire wolves are making quite a fuss.
Are they? I'm unaware.
People are really talking about the wolves. Because now you're looking at a 10-man block of wolves, 2 wounds apiece, 5-up save. So for 130 points, you're getting the same thing as a reinforced unit of skeletons. For 170 points, for 5+ more move.
Yeah,
but the attacks are worse at 4s and 4s instead of 3s and 4s.
Right, like for me, the wolves are going to be in my Veer Coast list. I'm taking a unit of 20. And they're going to just, they got the move. You can give them the auto run 6. They pile in. They got the old zombie 6-inch pile in. So you can really motor them across the board or like first turn and get right up in there and just do a pinning move there.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think they're going to be really good screens, really flexible, really good pinning.
And then when you finally kill them, they're 40 wounds. Now I bring them back in your movement phase on a 4-up, 3 inches away from you. I bring half that. Here's 10 back.
Right.
Do it again.
And that's definitely going to be something that's more feasible whenever you're trying to do blocking and stuff like that with a smaller footprint. So over to the controversial Dreadwalkers or Deadwalker zombies, who I still love vehemently.
Yeah. I think they feel better now.
Yeah, I agree too. I think they are much better than what people give them credit for. So now they have a save of 6-up, which I think there was an FAQ that made them 6-up.
I don't recall.
I can't remember. It doesn't matter. It's in the past. So that's for 20. And so instead of 1 attacks, they now have 2 attacks. And instead of 5s and 5s, they're now 5s and 4s. They no longer pile in 6. They no longer do a mortal wound on a 6 to hit. However, instead, Every time they kill something, roll a die on a 5+. Or I'm sorry, every time they die, roll a die on a 5 up. It does a mortal wound.
Yep.
So, like I said,
See, I like that too. I mean, your 60 zombies can get, 30 or 40 zombies can be exploded
right.
by some of the damage that's in this game. So, you're taking all that back, and then I'm just going to bring back 20 zombies, stick them in front of you, and you're going to have to do it again to them.
Right. Now, my only
Fantastic.
problem is like if you let's say you take the 40 damage, you lose the 40 zombies, you are looking at on average is that 10 mortal wounds, 8 mortal wounds?
40s? Yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah. And then, of course, newly dead. At the end of each combat phase, roll the die for each enemy model that was slain on a 2+. Add a zombie back to the unit. So now again, looking at that, you're like, well, that's god awful. Why would I pay 115 points for that whenever skeletons and dire wolves are clearly better? Well, again, as we spoke before, zombie lords, vampire lords, zombie lords, vampire lords, now instead of having a spell once per turn, can choose a summonable unit wholly within 12 inches, give them +1 attacks. Now we're looking at 3 attacks. And then we go with our necromancer, who has Dance Macabre. Dance Macabre, I guess. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, macabre.
Now this is a casting value of 6, range of 18. Pick a friendly seminal unit wholly within range, invisible to the caster. That unit fights immediately, so you can have them fight in the hero phase and then again in the regular phase.
If you go to Belladama's spell for exploding 6s,
right. So now you're in Belladama's. So now you're attacking with a, let's just say 40-man unit, because I don't think we're going to see too much 60. I think that's might be too big, but who knows? It might just be one block of 60 as opposed to like 2 40s. And I always kind of estimate you can probably reasonably get 20 in.
Yeah, that's probably about it.
20 into combat. And so you have Belladama exploding 6s to hit. So you're looking at, in the hero phase, you're looking at 40 attacks. And so then out of that 40 attacks, you have 1/6 doing 2. So quick math, that's probably 5 or 6 6s. So now you're looking at all of that. So that's going to carry over.
Yeah, if you got a corpse cart there, you're doing mortal wounds
exactly
on one roll. Like it's a lot of investment, but the combos are there, and it doesn't have to be every one of those things. You can put what you can together, but it just makes them that much little bit better.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's a rough combo, but here's the thing: is your opponent now has to choose: do I go after the vampire lord? Do I go after the necromancer? Do I go after the corpse cart? Do I go after the 40 or 60 man blob of zombies coming up my butt?
Right.
And so now you're giving your opponent, because again, okay, now I can't do mortal wounds on the wound rolls. Okay, I was probably doing maybe six mortal wounds, but I still have so much still coming into you. So
yeah, and that's just icing on the cake. They're going to get killed in the attack back, and that's when they're going to do the most mortal wounds. So
we won't get into the full profile. I really like Blood Knights. I feel like they're a little weaker.
They're a little pointier too, but
yeah, I would really like Blood Knights to be. I wouldn't mind, because again, I was gonna say like more elite, but they're already 230 points.
I mean, yeah,
I feel. Like
I think they could be 210 pretty easy.
I think they'd be 180 pretty easy. 190. Like
I'd go there.
The problem is you have a build for them, and that makes them real strong.
Right.
So, I think the Black Knight build with the White King on Black Knight or on Mount is really good, and I think most people should probably put one in their list.
Yeah, that's a win combo. Investment. Yep.
Obviously, if you're taking zombies, you're going to need at least 2 corpse cards.
Agreed.
I
I actually found in my attic. I found a bag that was an old metal black coach, and that's going to be my second corpse cart.
I still think it's a disappointment because if anyone remembers, that is a necromancer from fantasy. You actually could put a necromancer on your corpse cart, and I feel like
they missed the truth there.
Yeah, instead of having corpse carts, it should have just been a necromancer on corpse cart, so you could do stuff with it. Graveguard. What do you think about Graveguard?
Terrible models, great rules.
I don't know, man. I'm not sold on them.
They lack the movement. That's going to be their big bugbear.
Yeah.
How do you get them where you want them to be? Grave sites.
They all have the cursed weapons, regardless of they're big or small, right?
Yeah.
So that's the mortal wounds on 6, and they're also 2 hits. They can also be buffed by several different means, so you're getting a decent amount of attacks in there. Now they are 32 mil bases, right?
That I don't know.
Well, let's take a look. Base sizes. The Graveguard, 25 mil. So you're going to be able to get that almost whole unit in there with a half decent attack. You are going to be doing some damage with that.
Oh yeah, and their damage is in addition to the mortal wounds that they do. So
outside of that, I didn't look up the Sons of Velmorn.
Really cool models. They don't do anything.
That's a shame. I was surprised at how good the Night Guard are.
The ogres?
Yeah. And also, by the way, whenever they first came out, they vehemently stated that they were not vampire ogres.
Or zombie ogres.
Yeah. Zombie, vampire, whatever. They don't have either keyword. So, but they were like, nope, it's not. And now they're like, they're ogres.
Yeah, it's fine.
And then again, Fellbats, 14-inch move, 85 points, 3 wounds apiece, 6 up save. Meh, who cares? Pop them up out of nowhere. They can run and charge, or they can retreat and charge.
I like them. They're summonable, so when they get killed, you're bringing back 2 of them.
Yeah.
So for 85 points, you get, essentially 5 Fellbats.
Awesome pinning, awesome screening.
Popping out the grave, yep. Taking objectives off of lone heroes, you name it.
Yeah. So, what do you rate the book?
I give it an A+. I think each sub-faction has a clear way, build.
Yeah.
You can work with that in each one. I think Legion of Night might be the only one that's sort of missing an identity, but
I think, like I said, Legion of Night is missed the mark a little bit, and I think the other one we didn't go over, the monster one.
Yeah, the Avangori is terrible. Yeah.
Yeah. So with that being said, and I'm glad I actually didn't have to remind you how we do grading here, because it's not always about competitiveness. It is, how many lists can you actually put on the table and go, there's a chance I could win.
Yeah.
Which I would say there's at least 6.
Yeah, there's quite a few in there.
So I too give this a 6 or a plus. I think we should have a goal of having our armies done by October, so we can have a spooky battle.
I think that's a great idea. So I'm working on it.
I'll get there eventually.
I look forward to that battle with the gray plastic.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Well, I said, honestly, like I've been saying this now for years. I plan to do slap chop for these zombies.
It's the way to go.
Yeah, because all I'm going to do is just do the slap chop, the black with the gray, Mortarian grime for the skin, and then just whatever like grungy browns I have for contrast and speed paints for basically all their clothes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
It'll work.
So other than that, are you on any social media you want to tout out or anything?
No, sir.
No? Okay.
No.
All right. Well, again, thank you very much for going the distance with me. I know that you're
Yeah, no
past your
problem.
bedtime.
It is a little bit. I was up at 5, so
I mean, I was on your heels 6 a.m., so I hear you.
yeah.
But so now a little more respect for what Cole has to put up with.
I got a little more respect for the inner workings of the Power Hour. Now, when I watch it, and I can just pause it and be like, I'll finish that tomorrow. Yeah, a little bit different.
Yeah. Now you know. Now you realize how much of a prima donna Cole has to put up with. All right. Well, so we're going to have tentatively another special guest next month. Um, so we'll have to see how the timeline fits, whether we'll do Seraphon in depth or not. We have uh, a brewing controversial episode that I'm doing my best to try and stir the pot. I'm
Oh, you're gonna have to tease that
intentionally
one.
stirring the pot as much as humanly possible for the next episode. So wait with bated breath.
I look forward to it.
All right, bye everybody. Let me know if you need anything in the comments. Okay, bye.